Chapter 1793. Silence. On the stage, an elder raised his hand and the crowd quieted down. Allow me to introduce it to you. This is a snow dragon in the half-saint realm. It's very beautiful, which is rare even among true dragons. If you're interested, you can buy it and play with it. Now, let's begin the auction. The highest bidder will get it. The starting price is 100,000 upper-grade primordial stones. The elder's words made many people's eyes light up. True dragons are rare, and it's a snow dragon. Such a beautiful one is even rarer. It must be very exciting to buy it and play with it. Hee, I've never played with a true dragon before. I wonder what it's like. I'll take it. In your dreams. It's mine. Many people stared at Xuanixin passionately. Xuanixin's eyes were filled with despair, while Lu Ming's killing intent was even stronger. I'll pay 150,000 upper-grade primordial stones. I'll pay 160,000, 200,000. Everyone started to bid. The crowd was in high spirits, and the price kept rising. Soon, it reached 300,000. 300,000 upper-grade primordial stones to buy a half-saint true dragon was definitely a high price. One upper-grade primordial stone was equal to 10,000 mid-grade primordial stones. 300,000 upper-grade primordial stones were equal to 3 billion mid-grade primordial stones, 400,000. Lu Ming's voice was heard. He directly raised the price by 100,000 to 400,000. Many people shook their heads at the sudden increase of 100,000. This price was too high. It wasn't worth it to buy a half-saint true dragon, 450,000. Just then, a young man with a sinister look looked at Lu Ming and said, "Boy, you want to compete with me? Let's see how rich you are, 500,000. Without hesitation, Lu Ming called out 500,000 yuan, 550,000. The young man raised the price by another 50,000. At the side, the others sucked in a breath of cold air. 550,000, this price was already extremely shocking. At this point, most people gave up on bidding and shook their heads regretfully. 600,000. Lu Ming continued to raise the price. 650,000. The evil-looking young man raised the price again, but it was obvious that he was in pain. 650,000 was an extremely shocking price. This was a high-grade primordial stone, not a mid-grade one. Huang Ling, Long Chen, lend me some ores later. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Huang Ling and Long Chen. No problem. Give me as much as you want. Huang Ling and Long Chen spoke. 1 million. This time, Lu Ming directly raised the price to 1 million. As long as he could save Xuanixin, he didn't care how many primordial stones he had to spend. Hiss hiss hiss, gasps could be heard all around. Lu Ming had actually raised the price to 1 million. Who is this person? What great wealth! Just for a female true dragon, he's willing to spend 1 million high-grade origin stones. I recognize him. He is Lu Ming. I didn't expect him to be such a lecher. He has a beauty like Huang Ling by his side, yet he still spent a lot of money to buy this true dragon. His taste is extraordinary. Young people are full of energy. Everyone was discussing and some elders even sighed. What nonsense are these people talking about? Huang Ling blushed. Not only were the others shocked, but when Lu Ming shouted 1 million, the evil young man's face also changed. He seemed to be struggling. In the end, he looked at Xuanixin passionately and shook his head. Apparently, he had given up on bidding. 1 million high-grade origin stones was too high. 1 million. Is there anyone who offers a higher price? You have to know that this is a snow dragon. Even in the true dragon race, it is extremely rare. If you buy it, you will definitely have a different taste. Normally, if you wanted to buy it, you wouldn't be able to find it anywhere. On the high platform, an elder spoke, hoping to incite the crowd to continue bidding. However, although many people's eyes were burning, they still shook their heads. 1 million high-grade origin stones was too high. 1 million. Is there anyone who wants to bid higher? The elder continued to shout. After that, the elder called out 3 times in a row, but no one said anything. Alright, since no one wants to bid, this snow dragon belongs to, the elder was about to announce, but before he could finish, he was interrupted by another voice. Wait a minute. I'll bid 1,100,000. A voice was heard. It came from behind the high platform. There were some rooms behind the high platform. Then, a group of young men walked out from there. Wan Pingyang, Wan Tianbing, Lu Ming glanced around and emitted a cold light. There were more than 10 young men in the group. Lu Ming knew a few of them. They were Wan Pingyang, Wan Tianbing, and Wan Tianlong. In addition, Lu Ming knew Su Tua from Sky Wolf Pagoda and young Master Tianying from Sky Bird Palace. Lu Ming did not know the rest. The one who had bid was Wan Pingyang. Young masters, why are you here? On the high platform, the elder bowed to Wan Pingyang and the others. There is a rare snow dragon for auction here. We are also very interested, so we came to take a look. After Wan Pingyang finished speaking, he looked at Lu Ming with a cold light flashing in his eyes. Lu Ming, these young men are the geniuses who founded the Myriad Spirit Exchange. Huang Ling transmitted her voice to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded. His gaze was cold as he glanced at Wan Pingyang. 2 million. Huh, Lu Ming, I didn't expect you to be so interested in this snow dragon. However, I am also very interested in it. Wan Pingyang laughed and raised the price again. 5 million. Lu Ming did not even blink and raised the price by 200,000. 160, 2 million. In the end, Lu Ming raised the price to 2 million, which silenced the crowd. Wan Pingyang was slightly stunned and did not continue to raise the price. He glanced at Lu Ming and then at Xuaningxin. He smiled and said, I understand. Lu Ming, you know this snow dragon, right? No wonder you raised the price so high. Lu Ming did not say anything and only looked at Wan Pingyang coldly. Wan Pingyang's lips curled into a cold smile. If that's the case, we won't sell this snow dragon. What, did you say? Lu Ming stared at Wan Pingyang with a terrifying light in his eyes. Are you deaf? Let me tell you, we won't sell this snow dragon. The Myriad Spirit Exchange was founded by the 4 of us. I have the final say on whether we sell it or not. Wan Pingyang sneered and continued, a rare snow dragon, and it's so beautiful. To be honest, I haven't played with it before. Now, I'm going to keep it for myself. Brother Wan, you can't have it alone. Su Tua, who was standing at the side, said with a fiery light in his eyes. Ha ha ha, of course not. We're all brothers. Everyone has a share. Wan Pingyang laughed. Obviously, his words were for Lu Ming's ears. Lu Ming's killing intent was getting stronger. Seeing that Lu Ming was angry, Wan Pingyang, Wan Tianbing, and the rest were delighted. They felt the thrill of revenge. Chapter 1794. Huh, I've never seen such a beautiful snow dragon before. I wonder what's the difference between her skin and a human's. Wan Tianbing laughed. He stepped forward and appeared beside Xuaningxin. He raised his hand and was about to touch her. Go away. Xuaningxin roared and moved back. Slap. Wan Tianbing slapped Xuaningxin's face and scolded, Bitch, how dare you treat me like this? Tonight, I'll make you beg for death. Then, Wan Tianbing looked at Lu Ming provocatively. Boom. At that moment, a terrifying aura exploded from Lu Ming's body. Cold murderous intent spread out like a cold wave, causing the temperature in the hall to drop rapidly. Lu Ming was like a wild beast that could explode at any time. Lu Ming, what do you want? Do you want to fight? Wan Pingyang, Su Tuo, and the others also released their auras and stared at Lu Ming. At the same time, terrifying auras rose from all around the hall. They were looking forward to Lu Ming's attack so that they could take the opportunity to kill Lu Ming. Junior brother, no. Xuaningxin looked at Lu Ming and shook her head. So, you're Lu Ming's senior sister. Huh, I'll be more excited when I play with you. Wan Tianbing stared at Xuaningxin passionately. Wan Tianbing, you'll die miserably. I promise. Lu Ming said coldly. His murderous intent grew stronger. Huang Ling and Long Chen also released powerful auras. How dare you threaten me? Believe it or not, I'll strip this bitch naked right now. Wan Tianbing stood next to Xuaningxin. He formed a blade of saint power and slashed it. A large part of Xuaningxin's clothes was torn apart. Bubbles, you save her. I'll kill her. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Bubbles. Don't worry. Leave it to me. Bubble nodded. Then, she opened her mouth and blew at Xuaningxin. A strange ripple appeared in the air. On the high platform, Xuaningxin's body suddenly rippled like water. In the next moment, Xuaningxin disappeared. How dare you rob in the 1,000 spirit exchange? You're courting death. Wan Pingyang came to his senses and shouted. Today, we're not only intercepting people, we're also going to kill them. Lu Ming roared. When he shouted the last word, kill, two terrifying sword gleams burst out from his eyes and rushed into Wan Tianbing's body. Ah! Wan Tianbing immediately let out a miserable shriek. He held his head with both hands. His face twisted in extreme pain. Lu Ming's forehead was glowing. That was because of his spiritual strength fluctuations. A terrifying energy was constantly pouring into Wan Tianbing's mind, attacking his soul. Lu Ming didn't tear Wan Tianbing's soul apart at once. That would be too easy for him. Lu Ming wanted to tear Wan Tianbing's soul apart slowly and make him suffer. The pain of the soul was 10 times, 100 times more intense than the pain of the physical body. Ah! 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 Wan Tianbing screamed crazily and rolled on the ground. He held his head and hit the ground hard. You're courting death. Stop! An elder on the high platform yelled. You're all going to die. Lu Ming shouted. He took a step forward and dashed toward the fighting ring at lightning speed. His body glowed and sacred weapons appeared one after another. He held the absolute sacred weapon, the combat sword, in his hand. You're courting death. The old man roared and threw a punch at Lu Ming. This old man was a great sage, great mastery powerhouse. Whoosh! Lu Ming slashed out with his sword and collided with the elder's fist. The terrifying power made the elder's body tremble violently, and he retreated frantically. Dong! Lu Ming landed on the high platform and took a few steps forward. Dense runes spread out and crawled toward the two elders, covering their entire bodies in an instant. The sealing art could seal all living things. It directly sealed the cultivation of the two old men. Break! The two elders were shocked and frantically attacked. However, it was too late. Lu Ming rushed past them, and his sword slashed across the void. Two heads flew up high, and the destructive sword chi had destroyed the souls of the two elders. The two experts in the Great Saint Great Completion were killed by Lu Ming in the blink of an eye. How dare you! Kill! Wan Pingyang, Su Tuo, and the others roared and attacked Lu Ming. Among these young men, 3 of them had reached the Great Saint realm. They were all terrifying skyprides with powerful combat strength. Now that they joined forces, their power was shocking. Boom! 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 At the same time, there was a burst of terrifying aura in the surroundings of the main hall. Then, many figures dashed out in a frenzy and charged toward Lu Ming. Attack! Long Chen shouted and rushed out to the right. His body swelled up, especially his arms, which swelled several times. He threw out dozens of punches in a row. The space shook violently, and the terrifying fist force blasted toward those experts. These experts were almost all experts in the Great Saint Realm, and there were more than a dozen of them. However, Long Chen had broken through to the Great Saint Realm. With his spiritual body and force law, his combat strength was amazing. For a moment, he blocked more than a dozen experts. At the same time, Huang Ling rushed to the left. She was bathed in the undying flame. A huge phoenix was formed and rushed toward those experts. For a moment, they were blocked. However, there were more experts in front. There were more than a dozen of them, and they were all old men. Some of them had snow-white hair, and their aura was shocking. Among them, there were experts in the peak of the Great Saint Realm, and even complete Great Saint Realm. Leave it to me, brother Lu Ming. Bubble flew out. Then, she took a deep breath and exhaled. Beep beep beep, Bubble spat out transparent bubbles from her small mouth and flew out. Those old men were all covered by the transparent bubbles. Ah, what's going on? An old man shouted in horror. His body, which was already extremely old, was aging rapidly. The white hair on his head began to fall off, and his skin began to become dry and wrinkled. Then, the blood in their bodies began to weaken. Time law, it's the time law. Time is passing quickly. An old man shouted and struggled frantically. After Bubble had broken through to the Great Saint Realm, her time law was even more terrifying. She could even accelerate the flow of time or reverse time. Hiss. Next, Bubble waved her small hand, and ripples appeared in space, forming a terrifying spatial blade that slashed out. Suddenly, the bodies of the old men were split apart, and they fell on the spot. At the same time, Lu Ming also attacked. He pointed out a finger, and the chaotic calamity finger burst out. A huge finger pointed at Wan Pingyang. In the past few months, Lu Ming's chaotic calamity finger had improved again. It had reached 53%. At this time, it was fully unleashed, and its power was terrifying. The sacred weapons that enveloped Wan Pingyang's body were all sent flying. His body was directly blocked by the chaotic calamity finger, and he crashed into the wall of the main hall. The wall exploded, and Wan Pingyang fell to the ground like a pile of mud. He was already half dead. Chapter 1795. After using the primal chaos tribulation finger, Lu Ming dashed out, brandishing his combat sword continuously. Boom! Boom! The attacks from the other youths were all blocked by Lu Ming. Dong! Dong! Then, Lu Ming stomped his feet on the ground and countless runes spread towards Su Tuo and the others, forming a terrifying sealing force to seal them. Kill! Lu Ming hollered and the divine sword art erupted. Some of the young men with weaker cultivation levels screamed miserably. Lu Ming held his sword and dashed out. Suddenly, 5 to 6 youths were killed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming, you're courting death. An old man roared in anger. Lu Ming was so bold that he dared to make a move in the myriad spirit exchange and kill the youths of the 4 major forces. He was simply lawless. At the scene, the others were also incomparably shocked. Even more people rushed outside to avoid being affected by the shockwaves. How dare you hurt my family and friends? I'll kill all of you. Lu Ming roared. Today, he would kill all of these youths. Poof! With a slash of his sword, another 2 youths were killed and died on the spot. Those who were below the supreme sage level were no match for him. They could not even block one of his attacks. Death was the only way out for them. Retreat, retreat. At this time, Su Tuo and another supreme sage were scared. Their faces were pale as they frantically retreated. Lu Ming was simply a madman. You can't escape. Lu Ming struck out with his palm and controlled the array law. Endless runes formed a huge rune scroll and directly covered one of the supreme sage prodigies. The prodigy struggled frantically, but what awaited him was Lu Ming's chaotic calamity finger. A huge finger exuded destructive fluctuations and pointed at the man. No, the man screamed in despair, but he was sealed by the array law and could not use much of his strength. When the chaotic calamity finger touched him, he screamed and his body was torn apart. A great saint-level genius had died just like that. Such a genius, even among the younger generation of the ancient moon holy ground, was a top existence. He was high and mighty, looking down on his peers. In the future, he was destined to become an emperor, immortal and indestructible. Now, he was killed by Lu Ming just like that. Damn it! A few old men roared in anger. That genius was from one of their powers. Lu Ming's eyes were cold and indifferent. He stared at Su Tuo and his forehead lit up. The Taiji disc flew out and a huge Taiji diagram appeared, covering the entire hall. However, Su Tuo was determined to escape. Just as he was about to leave the hall, a transparent bubble suddenly appeared and enveloped him. Don't kill me. Su Ta howled in despair as he reverted to his original form, a purple wolf god. Weren't you very arrogant before, insulting my senior sister? Now, where did your arrogance go? Kill. As soon as Lu Ming spoke, the Taiji diagram transformed into a yin-yang fish sword that slashed out, killing Su Tuo on the spot. The second great sage prodigy had been killed. Who dares to cause trouble at the Thousand Spirit Exchange? At that moment, a long howl came from afar. The sound was so loud that it reached the clouds. It's the Absolute Saint. The Absolute Saint is here. Kid, you're dead meat. Someone shouted. Wan Pingyang, who was severely injured, had hope in his eyes. Of course, there was also a crazy murderous intent. However, in the next moment, he was terrified. This was because Lu Ming was also looking at him. He took a step forward and appeared in front of him. You! What are you doing? The Absolute Saint is here. Why don't you surrender? Wan Pingyang roared. It won't be too late to leave after I kill you. Lu Ming attacked coldly and swung his sword. Slash! The sword slashed down, and Wan Pingyang was split into 2. His soul was destroyed. His eyes were still wide open, filled with unwillingness. The Absolute Saint was here, but Lu Ming still wanted to kill him. He had seen hope, but it instantly turned into despair. Ah! The elders screamed. They had lost too much today. Almost all of the geniuses of the 4 forces were killed by Lu Ming. You're courting death. The Absolute Saint was extremely fast. He arrived in an instant. He scanned the hall with his spiritual consciousness and saw everything that happened. He was furious. Huang Ling, Long Chen, let's go. Lu Ming bellowed. He soared into the sky and dashed toward the top of the main hall. With a slash of his sword, the roof of the main hall was directly slashed open. Huang Ling, Long Chen, and Bubbles followed behind Lu Ming and rushed out. Where do you think you're going? The elders in the hall shouted and chased after Lu Ming. Stay! That Absolute Saint slammed his palm toward them from a distance away. A terrifying palm print covered the sky and was about to blast Lu Ming and the rest to death. Open! At this moment, Bubbles shouted and a spacetime passageway was opened. The four of them rushed into the spacetime passageway and disappeared. The next moment, the palm print struck and the spacetime passageway collapsed. However, the four of them had already appeared tens of thousands of miles away. Then, the bubble opened another spacetime passageway. The four of them rushed in and disappeared. Damn it! It's the spacetime laws. An elder appeared in the sky with a flash of light. His eyes were extremely cold. Whoosh! Whoosh! Then, a few more figures rushed over from other directions in the Thousand Spirit Exchange. They were all absolute saints with powerful auras. The absolute saints rushed into the hall with gloomy faces. They looked around, and their faces were so dark that it was about to bleed. The entire hall was in a mess. More than a dozen supreme saints had died. More importantly, more than a dozen young geniuses had died here. It was a huge loss. One of the absolute saints went to Wan Tianbing. Wan Tianbing wasn't dead, but he had become an idiot. Report to the family. Send out experts. Even if we have to turn the ancient moon's sacred ground upside down, we have to find Lu Ming. An angry roar resounded throughout the entire Thousand Spirit Exchanges. Many people knew that a storm was coming. At this moment, Lu Ming, Huang Ling, Long Chen, and Bubbles were hundreds of thousands of miles away. Only then did everyone stop. Lu Ming, you've killed so many geniuses from the four forces this time and caused a huge commotion in the Thousand Spirit Exchanges. I'm afraid the four forces won't let this go. Huang Ling looked worried. Lu Ming, come with me to the Divine Elephant Sect. Long Chen said. Phoenix Palace is fine too. Huang Ling said. Lu Ming shook his head. Let's split up. I'll go alone. No way. The four forces will definitely send many experts to hunt you down. They might even send emperors. It's too dangerous for you to go alone. Huang Ling's expression changed. She looked anxious. If I were to go with you to Phoenix Palace or the Divine Elephant Sect, would Phoenix Palace or the Divine Elephant Sect risk offending the four major factions and start a war with them to protect me? Lu Ming asked. Chapter 1796. Each of the four major forces was extremely powerful and had an unfathomable foundation. How terrifying would it be if they joined forces? No one would dare to say that they could stop them alone. Would Phoenix Palace or Divine Elephant Sect risk war with the four major forces to protect Lu Ming? The answer was probably no. After all, Huang Ling and Long Chen were just juniors. They could not represent the upper echelons of Phoenix Palace and Divine Elephant Sect. Would they protect Lu Ming and take the risk of starting a war with the four forces? This time, the two of you did not kill anyone. The four major forces have no reason to deal with you. Go back first. I killed him, so they can only look for me. But don't worry, I have a way to avoid the four major forces' pursuit. Lu Ming said. He had the divine breath technique. Unless an emperor-level expert stood in front of him and carefully identified him, no one would be able to recognize him. But it's still too dangerous, Huang Ling was still worried. Go quickly. If you're late, they will catch up. I'll go first. After saying that, Lu Ming's figure flashed and he quickly flew away. Then, he asked Bubbles to open a space-time tunnel and left. Huang Ling and Long Chen had no choice but to return to their respective sections. Lu Ming and Bubbles did not fly for long before they stopped. Bubbles, go into the mountain river diagram. Lu Ming said. Brother Lu Ming, you have to be careful. Chirp chirp. Bubbles chirped and then entered the mountain river diagram. Lu Ming's body and appearance began to change. In the end, he turned into a dark-skinned young man. Even his aura changed and he became a completely different person. The divine breath technique was very similar to the illusion technique, but it was more powerful and mysterious. After changing his appearance, Lu Ming changed his direction and flew towards the Myriad Spirit Exchange. That's right, he wanted to return to the Myriad Spirit Exchange. The most dangerous place was the safest place. The four major forces would never expect Lu Ming to return to the Myriad Spirit Exchange. Moreover, there were many people in the Myriad Spirit Exchange. If he mixed in with the crowd, they would not be able to find him. At this time, angry voices came from the Wan family, Sky Bird Palace, Sky Wolf Tower, and Purple Extreme Sect. Lock down the ancient Moon Holy Land and find Lu Ming. Following that, countless terrifying existences stepped out from the four forces and flew towards the ancient Moon Holy Ground in all directions. There were even Emperor-level experts. At this moment, the ancient Moon Holy Ground was in an uproar. The four forces were enraged. The ancient Moon Holy Ground was going to be shaken. News of what had happened at the Thousand Spirit Exchange quickly spread throughout the entire ancient Moon Holy Land at a terrifying speed. Countless people were shocked by Lu Ming's courage. In the Myriad Spirit Exchange established by the four major forces, he had killed more than a dozen geniuses from the four major forces, including more than a dozen great sages. This was simply audacious. It would be strange if the four major forces were not enraged. Just as the experts from the four forces were rushing out, Lu Ming had already returned to the Myriad Spirit Exchange. He swaggered down the street. No one knew that this was the Lu Ming who had caused the Guyu storm. No one would have thought that Lu Ming would actually come back. Lu Ming found an inn to stay in, then entered his room and entered the mountain and river diagram. On a mountain peak, Xuanixin was sitting there. Senior sister. Lu Ming came to Xuanixin's side. Junior brother. Xuanixin's eyes lit up when she saw Lu Ming. Then, she looked worried and said, "Junior brother, you're too impulsive. You barely escaped from the Tsang continent, and now you're in danger. It's okay. They can't find me." "Senior sister, are your injuries okay?" Lu Ming asked. There were whip marks on Xuanixin's body. Obviously, she had suffered some pain. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold again. "It's okay. It's just some superficial wounds." Xuanixin shook her head. "Senior sister, I'll help you remove these seals first," Lu Ming said. Then, dense runes appeared in his palm and covered a ring on Xuanixin's wrist. This ring was made with special materials and techniques. It could seal a person's cultivation. It was very magical. However, Lu Ming's array formation could seal some of it. First, he could reverse the seal on the ring. Then, it would be much easier to remove it. Then, he removed the other rings on Xuanixin's body one by one. As soon as the rings were removed, Xuanixin's cultivation recovered. As soon as her cultivation recovered, her injuries healed quickly. A moment later, the injuries on Xuanixin's body disappeared. "Senior sister, what's going on? How did you get caught by the four factions?" Lu Ming asked a series of questions. He had heard from Zifeng that the Ice Dragon Valley Master had escaped with Xiang, Tian Chui, and Xuanixin. Now that Xuanixin was caught, what about Xiang and the others? Lu Ming couldn't help but worry. Back then, when the evil spirit sect attacked the Dragon God Valley, the Ice Dragon Valley Master saw the opportunity and rushed out with me, Tian Chui, and Xiang. However, we were still discovered by the evil spirit sect. They chased us all the way until we escaped into the Cloud Sea mountain range. Unfortunately, we were unlucky and encountered a powerful beast in the Cloud Sea mountain range. Later, I was separated from the Valley Master and the others. I rushed out of the Cloud Sea mountain range on my own. I wanted to ask for help from a powerful force in the ancient Moon Holy Land, but I didn't expect to run into people from the Thousand Spirit Exchange before I even reached the ancient Moon Holy Land. They captured me the moment they saw me and brought me here to be sold as a slave. Xuanixin explained. The 4 factions. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. Xuanixin must have suffered a lot during this period. I wonder how Xiang and the others are doing. Where did they go? Lu Ming was still a little worried. Then, Lu Ming and Xuanixin chatted for a while before letting Xuanixin have a good rest. He then left the mountain river diagram. After leaving the mountain river diagram, Lu Ming went to a restaurant. He ordered some wine and dishes and asked around. As expected, the entire 1,000 Spirit Exchange was talking about Lu Ming. Swoosh! 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 In the sky, a figure whizzed past, bringing with it a terrifying gust of wind. The 4 factions really made a big move. That's for sure. Lu Ming killed more than a dozen of the 4 factions' geniuses and made a scene in the exchange. This is a slap in the faces of the 4 factions. It would be strange if they didn't go crazy. That's right. They were bullied to this extent by a junior. If they don't take down Lu Ming, how can they survive in the ancient moon's sacred ground in the future? Speaking of which, this Lu Ming is really daring. I'm afraid he's in danger this time. With an emperor-level expert here, he has nowhere to run. Even Phoenix Palace can't protect him. Lu Ming heard a lot of discussions in the restaurant. Buzz. At this time, a terrifying fluctuation came from the sky. An extremely terrifying aura spread from the sky as if an entire world was pressing down. Everyone's face changed drastically. An emperor-level expert. Chapter 1797. The pressure in the sky came crashing down like waves, causing everyone's faces to change color. It was the emperor's aura, the suppression of a martial emperor. Lu Ming's expression was grave. He used his divine breathing technique with all his might, but his original aura did not leak out at all. In the next moment, he felt a terrifying spiritual sense sweep over his body. However, it didn't stop and swept to other places in the next moment. Lu Ming relaxed. It seemed that the emperor-level powerhouse did not recognize him. There were so many people in the 1,000 Spirit Exchange. The emperor-level powerhouse could not see through his divine breathing technique at all. In the sky, a figure stood quietly. Countless people in the 1,000 Spirit Exchange looked up, but they could not see the person's face clearly. It was as if there was a world around him that blocked their vision. At that moment, the person frowned and retracted his spiritual consciousness. He muttered, "It seems that he's not here." As soon as he said that, the figure disappeared. The terrifying pressure also disappeared. Everyone in the 1,000 Spirit Exchange felt relieved. A martial emperor was too powerful. Even the lowest martial emperor was terrifying. Their lifespan was endless and they had the power to destroy the world. With a thought, millions of corpses would fall and blood would flow for thousands of miles. As expected, even an emperor-level powerhouse has been mobilized. Lu Ming can't escape. Do you think Lu Ming is hiding in the Phoenix Palace or the Divine Elephant Sect? It's useless even if he's hiding in the Phoenix Palace or the Divine Elephant Sect. Those 2 sects can't protect him. As soon as the emperor-level powerhouse left, the crowd began to discuss again. However, Lu Ming only ate and drank quietly. Soon, he returned to his room. At that moment, outside the Phoenix Palace, several terrifying figures descended. Each figure exuded a terrifying aura. It was the Emperor's aura. Several Emperor-level powerhouses had descended upon the Phoenix Palace at the same time. Emperor-level powerhouses. Almost everyone in the Phoenix Palace was alarmed. One figure after another flew out and looked at the emperor-level powerhouses in the sky. Their expressions were grave. "I wonder what brings you all to the Phoenix Palace at the same time?" A voice was heard. Then, a woman in palace robes stepped out and appeared in the sky above the Phoenix Palace. This person was the Palace Master of the Phoenix Palace. Palace Master of the Phoenix Palace, we're here for a person. Please hand over Lu Ming. In the sky, one of them spoke. This person's aura was extremely sharp. In the air. Lu Ming is not in the Phoenix Palace. Palace Master of the Phoenix Palace. Not here? Phoenix Palace Master, don't cover up for Lu Ming. Even if you do, you won't be able to. This person was an emperor-level powerhouse. I have already said that Lu Ming is not in Phoenix Palace. I can use my name as the Lord of Phoenix Palace as a guarantee. In the sky, several powerful existences frowned. Since Phoenix Palace Master said so, Lu Ming was most likely not around. The Wan clan's martial emperor said coldly. What a joke. Palace Master of the Phoenix Palace's voice turned cold. Huang Ling did not kill the people of the four major forces. What does that have to do with her? Of course. She helped Lu Ming to kill the people of the four major forces. Otherwise, how could Lu Ming do it alone? She must pay the price. She must be buried with the people of the four major forces. The martial emperor from the Wan clan spoke again. His voice was filled with killing intent. What a joke. I have already investigated the matter. The reason why Huang Ling took action then was because the seniors of the four forces attacked them. That was why she took action to protect herself. Countless people in the Myriad Spirit Exchange saw this matter. Under such circumstances, if she did not take action, would she have allowed them to kill her? Palace Master of the Phoenix Palace said. Palace Master of the Phoenix Palace, are you not going to hand her over? The martial emperor from the Wan clan said coldly. No. If you want to start a war with the Phoenix Palace because of this, I'll gladly oblige. Palace Master of the Phoenix Palace was very domineering. The few martial emperors in the sky frowned. At that time, it was true that the seniors had attacked first. Huang Ling and the others had fought back. However, Palace Master of the Phoenix Palace had said that Huang Ling had defended herself. Most importantly, Huang Ling did not kill the people of the four major forces. If they started a war with the Phoenix Palace because of this, the other forces might intervene. This was because the Phoenix Palace had a good relationship with other forces. However, if Lu Ming was here and the Phoenix Palace still protected Lu Ming, they would have a reason to take action. The other forces would not be able to interfere. In fact, Lu Ming had already seen through this, and that was why he had not come to the Phoenix Palace. Where's Huang Ling? Ask her to come out. I want to ask her about Lu Ming. The martial emperor from the Wan clan said coldly. I'm here. Huang Ling stepped out and stood in the sky. Swoosh. The martial emperors of the Wan clan and Sky Wolf Pagoda looked at Huang Ling. A terrifying pressure pressed down on Huang Ling. Her expression changed and she retreated. She almost vomited blood. Palace Master of the Phoenix Palace waved her hand and a ray of energy landed on Huang Ling, isolating her from the pressure. Speak. Where is Lu Ming? The martial emperor of the Wan clan said firmly. I don't know. Huang Ling shook her head. If you don't know, how dare you lie? The martial emperor of the Wan clan shouted. His voice was deafening and the heavens and earth rumbled. Huang Ling's face turned pale. However, she stubbornly raised her head and said, I don't know. After Lu Ming and I came out of the Thousand Spirit Exchange, we parted ways. With Lu Ming's intelligence, he naturally knew that it was useless to come to the Phoenix Palace. Therefore, he left alone. I don't believe you. I'll search your soul to confirm it. The martial emperor of the Wan clan said coldly. He then raised his hand and a huge hand grabbed at Huang Ling. The hand was like an entire world and there was no way to avoid it. Enough. Palace Master of the Phoenix Palace waved her hand. A phoenix flew out and destroyed the huge hand. An emperor attacking a junior disciple. How shameful. If you want to fight, I'll accompany you. Palace Master of the Phoenix Palace said. At the same time, a few more terrifying auras rushed out from the Phoenix Palace. The martial emperors of the Wan clan, Sky Wolf Pagoda, and Sky Bird Palace frowned and looked at each other. I hope you're telling the truth. Otherwise, we'll fight the Phoenix Palace. The martial emperor of the Wan clan said. He then turned around and disappeared into the sky. Then, the other martial emperors also disappeared. Let's return to the mountain. Palace Master of the Phoenix Palace looked solemn as she brought Huang Ling back to the Phoenix Palace. The same scene played out in the Divine Elephant sect. However, the Divine Elephant sect was even more domineering. Long Chen's master was a terrifying existence. He sent a martial emperor flying with a slap. The elites of the four major forces had no choice but to retreat. Lu Ming was not in the Divine Elephant sect, so they could not attack. Chapter 1798. Time passed, and another month passed. During this month, the ancient moon sacred land was in turmoil. The experts of the four forces searched everywhere, but Lu Ming seemed to have disappeared into thin air. No matter how hard the four forces searched, they couldn't find anything. After a month, the four forces finally quieted down. They seemed to know that it was useless to continue searching like this. Lu Ming, on the other hand, swaggered around the 1,000 Spirit Exchange to cultivate. When he was free, he would go shopping and buy some treasures. He was living a carefree life. I still haven't broken through to the Supreme Saint level, but I should be soon. I feel like I'm about to reach the limit of the Bright Saint level. When the time is right, I'll be able to break through naturally. Lu Ming strolled around a street, then bought some spiritual herbs and dragon bones. During this time, he bought some absolute saint dragon bones and dragon blood in the 1,000 Spirit Exchange. However, after refining them, his spirit body didn't evolve. It was too difficult for a mid-level heaven spirit body to evolve into an upper-level heaven spirit body. After all, the upper-level heaven spirit body was the highest level of spirit body. Lu Ming bought some things and returned to the inn to continue cultivating. In the blink of an eye, another month passed. In the mountain river diagram, Lu Ming sat cross-legged on the Enlightenment ancient tree. At this moment, dragon roars came from his body, and saint power gushed out like a pillar, shooting into the sky. In his dantian, the two saint hearts spun wildly, and endless saint power gushed out. Boom! Lu Ming's aura suddenly skyrocketed. He had broken through to the Supreme Saint level. At this moment, Lu Ming waved his hand, and a large pile of upper-level origin stones appeared. Devour. Lu Ming unleashed his devouring power, and began to devour the energy of the origin stones and refine them. Lu Ming's body was like a black hole, and endless origin chi poured into Lu Ming's body, turning into his saint power. Lu Ming's saint power grew stronger and stronger, and the two saint hearts became fuller and clearer. The aura they emitted also grew stronger. After a few hours, Lu Ming finally stopped devouring the primordial aura. His aura then stabilized. I've finally broken through to the Great Saint realm. Lu Ming opened his eyes, revealing a faint smile. After breaking through to the Great Saint realm, his strength had skyrocketed. If he were to fight against Wan Pingyang and Su Ta now, he would be able to kill them with a single slap. There was no need for him to use the chaotic tribulation finger. Now that I've broken through to the Great Sage realm, I should go out and take a look at the situation outside. Lu Ming pondered. In order to break through to a new realm, it was impossible to blindly go into seclusion. One still needed to gain experience in order to advance to the next level. Lu Ming exited the mountain and river diagram and headed outside. However, the moment Lu Ming went out, he realized that something was amiss. Many people were flying out of the myriad spirit exchange. There were a large number of people entering and exiting the 1,000 spirit exchange every day, but it was rare to see so many people flying out together. "Uncle, what happened?" Lu Ming stopped a yellow-faced man in his 50s and asked with a simple and honest smile. "Little brother, you still don't know, right? The ancient Great Pill Evolution Hall has appeared," the yellow-faced man said. "Great Pill Evolution Hall?" Lu Ming was confused. "You don't know?" the yellow-faced man said. "Uncle, I just came to the ancient Moon Holy Land not long ago, so I haven't heard of the Great Pill Evolution Hall. Why don't I go with you and you can tell me about it?" Lu Ming said naively. "That's fine too. Come with me, we'll talk as we walk," the yellow-faced man said. At that moment, the two of them soared into the sky and followed the crowd, flying in a direction. On the way, the yellow-faced man also explained. In ancient times, the ancient Moon Holy Land had a sect that was famous throughout the entire Yuan Mountain. This sect was the Great Pill Evolution Hall. The Great Pill Evolution Hall was so famous not because of its strength, but because of its alchemy skills. According to legend, the Great Pill Evolution Hall was passed down to a single disciple. However, its alchemy skills were the best of the world. The Great Pill Evolution Hall's Great Pill Evolution Scripture, coupled with the Great Pill Evolution Furnace, could refine all kinds of pills. For example, it could directly condense the laws of the world and refine pills that could improve the laws. It could also refine pills that could allow the spiritual body to evolve. This alchemy skill could be said to be incredible. However, in ancient times, the Great Pill Evolution Hall suddenly disappeared in a day. Even the mountain gate of the Great Pill Evolution Hall disappeared. Countless powerful forces and experts almost turned the entire ancient Moon Holy Land upside down, but they still could not find the Great Pill Evolution Hall. Later generations had countless guesses as to why the Great Pill Evolution Hall disappeared without a trace overnight. Some people said that a supreme expert coveted the Great Pill Evolution Hall's inheritance and destroyed the Great Pill Evolution Hall, seizing the Great Pill Evolution Scripture and Great Pill Evolution Furnace. However, many people did not believe this saying. Although the Great Pill Evolution Hall was passed down to a single disciple, each generation of people was a top genius in the world. When each generation grew up, their strength was extremely terrifying. It was not that easy to destroy the Great Pill Evolution Hall. There was another saying that the Great Pill Evolution Hall had too few people, and in the end, its inheritance was lost, so it automatically went into seclusion. In any case, there were different opinions, and there was no unified answer. However, the Great Pill Evolution Scripture, the alchemy skill that could seize the heavens and the earth, was lost. Recently, there was an anomaly at the old site of the Great Pill Evolution Hall, and it was suspected that the Great Pill Evolution Hall was about to appear. Countless people went there to try their luck. According to the ancient records, in a great era where geniuses came out in large numbers, kings contended for hegemony, and all kinds of ancient inheritances would appear one after another, looking for successors. Now that it was a great era, it was normal for the Great Pill Evolution Hall to appear. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. The Great Pill Evolution Scripture could directly condense the laws of heaven and earth to refine pills, and it could even refine pills that could allow the spiritual body to evolve. This alchemy skill was really heaven-defying. If a powerful force obtained it, how many geniuses would it give birth to? Lu Ming followed the yellow-faced man and flew all the way. Soon, they saw that the void in front of them was filled with people. They had arrived at the old site of the Great Pill Evolution Hall. The two of them flew into the crowd and found that everyone was looking forward. The two of them looked forward and found that there was a small hill in front of them. That small hill looked like a pill furnace, and it looked very ordinary. This is the old site of the Great Pill Evolution Hall. It looks very ordinary, and there is nothing special about it. Why is it attracting so many people? Lu Ming was very surprised. It's here again. At this moment, someone said. Buzz. The small hill seemed to be shaking. Then, a green halo spread out. Accompanying the halo was a fragrance. It was the fragrance of medicinal pills. What a strong fragrance of pills. Lu Ming couldn't help but take a deep breath. The fragrance of pills assailed his nostrils, and he felt refreshed and comfortable. What was even more shocking was that the hill was emitting a medicinal fragrance, and as the halo spread out, it was actually slowly growing bigger. Yes, the hill was growing bigger, and Lu Ming was definitely not mistaken. The hill is growing bigger again. Every time it emits a halo, the hill will grow bigger. Is the Great Pill Evolution Hall really going to appear? It's highly possible, but it hasn't completely appeared yet. We have to wait. Chapter 1799. Half a day later, the hill had doubled in size. It was only a few dozen meters tall before, but now it was 100 meters tall. The halo had also disappeared. After the halo disappeared, the pill fragrance also slowly faded. The Great Pill Derivation Palace is most likely under the ground. Watch me break it open. A burly man stepped out. He exuded a terrifying aura. He was a saint. Whoosh! The man's palm was like a blade. He slashed out, and a shocking blade light formed. It slashed toward the hill, trying to split it open. However, when the blade light landed on the mound, a ring of light burst out from the mound. Under this light, the blade light instantly collapsed. When the burly figure was hit by this light, his body violently trembled. He coughed up blood and retreated. His face was pale and filled with fear. You overestimate yourself. Someone sneered. There were so many people here, and many of them were saints. There were even quasi-emperors. How could no one have tried before? However, all of them had been injured and retreated. That was why so many people were waiting here. Everyone fell into deep thought. The Great Pill Development Palace was no small matter. It seemed that it was almost impossible for external forces to break it open when it appeared on its own. Uncle, thank you for leading the way. Lu Ming thanked the yellow-faced uncle. Then, he went to the side alone and sat cross-legged on a mountain peak, waiting quietly. As time passed, more and more people arrived. At a glance, the sky was almost filled with people. Every once in a while, the hill would emit light and grow a little bigger. Time passed, and the hill grew bigger and bigger. Half a month later, the hill became tens of thousands of meters tall. It towered into the clouds and was surrounded by clouds. It looked like a celestial mountain. From afar, it looked like an incomparably huge pill furnace standing between the heavens and the earth. And it wasn't over yet. The pill furnace mountain was still growing. It would grow bigger every day. Another half a month passed. Lu Ming had been here for a month. The alchemy furnace mountain was already hundreds of thousands of feet high. It was like a sacred mountain. A large piece of land in the surrounding area had been occupied. The pill furnace mountain isn't growing any longer. At that moment, someone said. The pill furnace mountain hadn't grown in size for 3 days. Could it be that the pill furnace mountain had completely appeared? Many people stared ahead with fiery eyes. At this moment, a figure stepped out from the sky. This figure was shrouded in terrifying divine light. His appearance could not be seen clearly, but he exuded a terrifying aura. He stood high up in the sky, but it gave people the illusion that an entire world was standing there. The shocking pressure caused everyone's expression to change greatly, and even their breathing became a little difficult. Martial Emperor. Someone spoke up, his voice incomparably loud. An emperor-level figure had appeared. With the appearance of a martial emperor, how could they compete? However, this was only the beginning. Next, in the sky, one figure after another appeared. These figures were all emitting divine light, as if they were gods. It was as if they were floating in the sky. Emperor-level experts, they were all emperor-level experts. An emperor-level powerhouse's Saint Heart had condensed into a small world and possessed the power of a world. Just by standing there, it was like a world of its own. There were more than a dozen martial emperors standing in the sky, dominating the area, making people feel a terrifying pressure. However, this was not the end. The number of emperor-level experts was still increasing. In the end, more than 20 emperor-level experts had appeared. Many people were dumbfounded. How many years had it been since so many emperor-level experts had gathered? Obviously, the appearance of the Great Development Pill Hall this time had caused even the emperor-level experts to be unable to remain calm and had personally taken action. It was likely that all the major forces in the ancient Moon Holy Land had sent emperor-level experts. Lu Ming was also secretly surprised. As expected of the ancient Moon Holy Land, more than 20 emperor-level experts had gathered. How magnificent! You guys really came out. In the sky, a strong voice echoed between heaven and earth, causing the void to rumble. Emperor-level experts had condensed a small world. Every move they made had the power of a world, which could destroy heaven and earth. Their power was unimaginable. Even if they opened their mouths to speak, if they were not suppressed, there was still a terrifying power. How can I not come when the Great Development Pill Hall has appeared? Likewise. In the sky, several voices sounded one after another. Below, the others were silent. No one dared to make a sound. The emperor-level experts had appeared. If they dared to make a sound and offended one of them, they would be killed with a slap. That would be a pity. Since you're here, why don't you make a move? The burly figure who had arrived first spoke. No hurry. Someone said lightly. You guys are really cunning. You're just waiting for others to take the lead. If you're not going to make a move, I'll do it. The burly figure spoke with a faint disdain in his voice. Then, he took a step forward and rushed toward the Pill Furnace Mountain. In an instant, he rushed into the mountain and was hidden by the clouds. Buzz! At that moment, the mountain shook and a halo spread out, rushing toward the burly figure. Open up! A rumbling sound came out from the mountain. Then, a shocking sword light shot up into the sky, as if it was going to split the sky and the earth. The vast sword power caused the faces of all those below the emperor level to change drastically. In the face of such power, those below the emperor level were like ants and could be easily destroyed. This was the strength of an emperor level expert. It's the Great Baron Sword Sex Martial Emperor. Someone whispered softly. However, the result was beyond everyone's expectations. The sword radiance that could destroy heaven and earth did not destroy the halo. The halo rushed past and the sword radiance collapsed. The sound of the sword resonated through heaven and earth. Then, a burly figure quickly retreated out of the range of the mountain. The divine light on his body trembled a little and revealed his true appearance. It was a middle-aged man with a combat sword on his back. At that moment, his face was a little pale. There's a terrifying formation in the mountain. The middle-aged man said with a gloomy face. Looks like you can't do it. Let me do it. A cold and arrogant voice was heard. Then, a figure shrouded in golden flames stepped out. Caw! With a cry, the figure turned into a three-legged golden crow. It was extremely huge and looked like a sun in the sky. It was an emperor-level expert from the three-legged golden crow clan. It was powerful and terrifying. The three-legged golden crow flapped its wings and its huge figure turned into a golden light and rushed into the mountain. However, the result was the same as the Great Baron Sword Sex Martial Emperor. He was also sent flying by the halo. His expression was ugly and he was extremely unhappy. Then, other Emperor-level experts tried, but the result was the same. They were all sent flying. I suggest that we join forces. It's difficult to go in alone. A cold voice was heard. This person was extremely terrifying and exuded an extremely sharp aura. There seemed to be countless weapons flying around his body. Each weapon exuded a terrifying power. This person was an Emperor-level expert from the Wan clan. That's right. Let's join forces and break this formation. Chapter 1800. Bam! Bam! Then, 7 Emperor-level powerhouses stepped out and rushed into the mountain. Buzz! The Pill Furnace Mountain continued to vibrate, and rays of light burst out from it. Those Emperor-level powerhouses also made their move. A terrifying rumble erupted in the area, shaking the heavens and the earth. Retreat, retreat! Those below the Emperor level retreated. The Emperor level powerhouses were too terrifying. If they were even slightly affected, they would definitely be reduced to ashes. The world shook, and the Pill Furnace Mountain emitted a bright light. It was enveloped by rings of light. That was the light of Pill Chi, but it could erupt with shocking power. It was incomparably mysterious. Moreover, the shaking became more and more intense. The Pill Furnace Mountain actually became somewhat illusory, as if it would break through the sky at any time. Whoosh! Whoosh! Their figures flashed, and those Emperor-level powerhouses all retreated outside the mountain. We can't force our way in. Otherwise, the Pill Furnace Mountain will break through the sky and escape again. Someone frowned. Then what should we do? Someone asked. It seems that the Great Pill Development Palace doesn't welcome Emperor-level powerhouses. It seems that we can only send those below the Emperor level in to try. An Emperor-level powerhouse said. The others fell silent for a moment, then nodded. Emperor-level powerhouses couldn't enter at all. Even if they all attacked, the Pill Furnace Mountain would probably disappear into the void again. At that time, they wouldn't be able to obtain anything. They could only send those below the Emperor level to try. Then, these Emperor-level powerhouses began to send those below the Emperor level. At first, they sent boundary emperors, but without exception, they were all blasted out. Correspondingly, the strength of the halos was much weaker. They only blasted boundary emperors out. At most, they would be injured. The power was far from being able to deal with Emperor-level powerhouses. Otherwise, they would be able to kill a bunch of boundary emperors in an instant. After that, they sent absolute saints, but it was still useless. The Emperor-level powerhouses were very patient. They slowly experimented, and finally, the results were out. Only the younger generation below the age of 50 could enter. The halo was the weakest. Some prodigies could withstand it and enter smoothly. Immediately, the major forces began to send the younger generation here. Soon, all the prodigies gathered here. Not only that, but there were also many prodigies from the Ancient Moon Sacred Ground and the Ancient Moon Sacred Ground. There were also many prodigies from the ordinary Emperor-level forces. Lu Ming was also mixed in with some young people, so he didn't attract any attention. You guys go in. When the time comes, find a chance to wipe out the geniuses of the Divine Elephant Sect and Phoenix Palace, especially Huang Ling and Long Chen. Beside the Wan clan's sovereign realm expert stood a few geniuses of the Wan clan. At this moment, the Wan clan's sovereign realm expert transmitted his voice to them. His voice was extremely cold. Yes, Martial Emperor. The geniuses of the Wan clan nodded. Don't worry. I've already contacted the Heavenly Wolf Pagoda, Sky Bird Palace, and Violet Extreme Sect. Anyone who dares to join forces with Lu Ming and kill my Wan clan's geniuses will definitely die. The emperor-level expert from the Wan clan said coldly. The eyes of the geniuses of the Wan clan flashed with cold light. Go! The Wan clan's emperor-level expert waved his hand. Whoosh! Whoosh! The geniuses of the Wan clan all flew towards the Cauldron Mountain. At the same time, the other faction's geniuses also rushed towards the mountain. Lu Ming mixed in with the ordinary Emperor-class faction's geniuses and also rushed towards the mountain. Many young geniuses rushed into the mountain. The mountain of pill furnaces also emitted layers of light. However, these layers of light were relatively weaker. Lu Ming only felt a slight numbness in his body as he resisted the power of these layers of light. He seemed to be very relaxed. However, not everyone was as relaxed as him. Some of the weaker geniuses' expressions changed drastically. Their bodies shook violently as they quickly retreated out of the range of the mountain. Some people were eliminated before they could even enter. Their expressions were ugly, but there were still many people who resisted the pressure and headed towards the depths of the mountain. Not long after, they entered the depths of the mountain and disappeared into the clouds, disappearing from the sight of outsiders. Who will be able to obtain the inheritance of the Great Pill Development Hall? Everyone pondered, revealing a look of anticipation as they waited quietly. The Cauldron Mountain occupied a vast area. After Lu Ming and the others entered, they were surrounded by white fog and their vision was not very good. The Cauldron Mountain was still very far away from them. Everyone leaped into the air and disappeared into the boundless clouds and mist. Lu Ming also moved and rushed towards the Cauldron Mountain. However, after running for half an hour, they were still very far away from the Cauldron Mountain. They could only look at it but not reach it. The people who had entered had already scattered. As far as the eye could see, there was not a single person in sight. It didn't look very far from the outside. I didn't expect it to be so far after entering. Lu Ming muttered to himself as he continued forward. Not long after, Lu Ming suddenly stopped. He saw a few figures flashing in front of him. Those were the figures of the Wan clan. These people of the Wan clan are sneaking around. What are they trying to do? Let's follow them and take a look. Lu Ming's gaze shifted. He withdrew his aura and quietly followed. The few geniuses of the Wan clan went in one direction. Not long after, they set up an ambush at the edge of a valley. Not long after, other people appeared and set up an ambush nearby. It's the people of the Skywolf Pagoda and the Ziji sect. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Behind them, he saw the people of the Sky Bird Palace. These four forces were the ones who had joined forces to establish the Myriad Spirit Exchange. They were on good terms. What were these people trying to do? Soon, Lu Ming found out. In front of him, 5 to 6 figures were running over. Huang Ling, Long Chen. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Among those figures, Huang Ling and Long Chen were among them. As for the others, they were obviously the geniuses of the Phoenix Palace and the Divine Elephant sect. The Wan clan and the others had set up an ambush here to deal with Huang Ling and the others. They're courting death. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes and he suddenly shouted, "Kill!" His voice spread far and wide, causing Huang Ling and Long Chen's expressions to change. They couldn't help but stop. "We haven't entered the encirclement yet." Which idiot shouted? The geniuses of the Wan clan had gloomy expressions. Someone cursed. The people of the four forces were lying in ambush in different places. They thought that it was the other forces who had called. The people of the other forces were the same. They thought that it was the other forces who had called. Who's there? Long Chen's eyes were like lightning as he scanned the surroundings. Whoosh! Whoosh! There was a piercing sound as the geniuses of the Wan clan flew out and appeared in front of Huang Ling and the others. Since the ambush didn't work, they could only attack directly. It's the Wan clan. Huang Ling's face darkened. And us. Voices were heard as the geniuses of the other three forces appeared. In a flash, they surrounded Huang Ling and the others in the middle. Wan clan, Skywolf Pagoda, Sky Bird Palace, Ziji sect, what are you trying to do? Chapter 1801. What are you trying to do? Huang Ling, Longchen, you helped Lu Ming kill our 4 families' sky prides and wreaked havoc at the 1,000 Spirit Exchange. Do you think we'll let you off just like that? You'll pay with your lives. One of the Wan family's sky prides sneered. His killing intent was icy cold. So it's because of this. Humph, many of your family's sky prides have died. Don't let them all die. Longchen said coldly. The aura on his body became violent. His body swelled and his arms became thicker, containing endless power. You're the ones who will die. Let's attack together. The Wan family's sky prides shouted coldly. However, at that moment, the sound of something breaking through the air came from afar. 4 to 5 figures flew over rapidly, causing the sky prides of the Wan family in Sky Wolf Pagoda to change their expression slightly. In the next moment, there was a flash of light and 5 figures stood in the sky. Hee, it's really lively. Brother Wan, why don't we join in? One of the golden-robed young men said, his voice filled with killing intent. So it's the brothers from the Golden Crow clan. Great, let's attack together. The sky prides of the 4 forces were overjoyed. Huang Ling, Longchen, and the others looked even more upset. Everyone from the Golden Crow clan, we have no grudges against each other. Why are you adding insult to injury? Huang Ling said. Facing the 4 forces, they were already doomed. With the addition of the sky prides of the Golden Crow clan, they were in even more danger. No grudges? What a joke. You're with Lu Ming. Even if you have grudges against us, you have to kill those who are with Lu Ming. A golden-robed young man said coldly. He was the 9th prince of the Golden Crow clan. Back in the Phoenix Nest, he was almost stripped of all his feathers by Lu Ming. He hated Lu Ming to the core. Let's attack together and kill them. Let's find the inheritance of the Great Pill Development Hall. The leader of the Wan family's sky prides shouted. Light spots lit up on his body and sacred weapons flew out. This person's cultivation was extremely terrifying. He was a lesser great sage and was not any weaker than Wan Pingyang. He was also one of the strongest sky prides of the Wan family. In addition, there were Sky Wolf Pagoda, Ziji sect, and Sky Bird Palace. In total, there were 5 sky prides of the great sage. And this power was extremely terrifying. It was enough to kill Huang Ling and Longchen. Moreover, he had the help of the Golden Crows. Among the 5 Golden Crows, there were 2 supreme saint prodigies. They were the Golden Crow 5th Prince and the Golden Crow 4th Prince. All of them were consummate chosen, and each and every one of them was strong enough to fight opponents above their level of cultivation. In fact, ordinary great sages were no match for them. Charge out. Huang Ling and Long Chen's faces were extremely ugly. They gathered together and rushed madly in the same direction. You can't escape. Kill. The 4 great forces and the Golden Crow tribe's experts attacked together. Terrifying attacks rained down on the Golden Crow tribe. Long Chen roared furiously and unleashed his full power. Both of his fists punched out continuously. In an instant, he had punched out dozens of times, destroying the attacks one after another. As for Huang Ling, she used the inextinguishable flame law. The cry of a phoenix resounded through the world, protecting the others. However, even with so many experts working together, Long Chen and Huang Ling still trembled. Their faces turned pale, and blood flowed out from the corners of their mouths. The law of undying flame, the law of extreme force, and 2 king bodies should be killed. One of the Wan clan's chosen sneered, looking jealous. Long Chen and Huang Ling had comprehended the law of king bodies, which were called king bodies. The more they cultivated, the stronger their combat power would be in the future. In the future, they would surpass the rest of the Wan clan's chosen. This was also the reason why the emperor-level experts of the 4 great forces had ordered them to kill Long Chen and Huang Ling king bodies, when developed, would be extremely terrifying. By then, the strength of Phoenix Palace and Divine Elephant sect would be even more shocking, surpassing the other forces. Therefore, such geniuses had to be killed in the cradle. Anyway, even if they died in the Great Evolution Elixir Palace, no one would know how they died, and no one would blame them. Kill. Kill the king bodies. Voices filled with murderous intent were heard. More terrifying attacks were launched toward Huang Ling and the others. At this moment, Huang Ling and the others' bodies rippled like water. They moved 100 meters away and dodged the attacks. Kill. In the sky, a loud shout was heard, causing some of the weaker cultivators to scream. Then, a huge finger descended from the sky. It was as if a deity had attacked, pointing toward the Wan clan's chosen. This is the law of chaos. It's Lu Ming. The leader of the Wan clan's chosen let out a cry of despair. He unleashed all of his strength and rushed toward the huge finger with his sacred weapons, hoping to block it. But now that Lu Ming had broken through to the Supreme Saint level, his combat power had skyrocketed. How could he block the chaotic finger of calamity? The chaotic finger of calamity crushed through. The Wan clan's chosen who were below the Supreme Saint level did not even have time to scream. Their bodies exploded, and their souls were destroyed. The Supreme Saint's chosen did not resist for long. He let out an unwilling roar, and his body exploded as well. Another great sage prodigy from the Wan clan had fallen. Whoosh! In the sky, a young man in a black robe stepped down. His black hair fluttered, and his face was cold. Around him, more than 100 sacred weapons danced. It was Lu Ming. Lu Ming. Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the others were overjoyed. As for the other forces chosen, their expressions changed drastically. Lu Ming, how dare you appear again and kill the Wan clan's chosen? This time, you can't escape. No one can save you. A chosen from the Sirius Pagoda roared. Who will know if I kill all of you? Lu Ming said coldly. Kill all of us? Ridiculous. Although your combat power is strong, with so many of us joining forces, it's enough to kill you. A young man in a purple robe stepped out from the ZG sect. His purple hair fluttered in the wind, and his aura was wild. This person's cultivation was at the great sage greater mastery. He had a mid-level heaven spiritual body, and his combat power was shocking. That's right. If we join forces, we can kill him. A person from the Golden Crow clan also stepped out. Together with the ZG sect's chosen, they formed a triangle. Their violent auras pressed toward Lu Ming. He was the Golden Crow 4th prince, who was stronger than the Golden Crow 5th prince. He also had a great sage greater mastery cultivation. You guys, send a few people to block Huang Ling and Long Chen. The rest of you, kill Lu Ming with me. The ZG sect's chosen instructed. Suddenly, 2 figures flashed, and 2 Supreme Saint chosen rushed toward Long Chen and Huang Ling, blocking in front of them. Their mission was to stall Huang Ling and Long Chen, while the rest of them killed Lu Ming. As long as they killed Lu Ming, they could kill Huang Ling and the others. Purple light burst out, forming an extreme purple battle sword, and charged toward Lu Ming. The Golden Crow let out a long cry, and the fire of the Grand Sun burned fiercely. The Golden Crow spread its wings, and the terrifying Grand Sun True Fire surged toward Lu Ming. At the same time, the other Supreme Saint chosen also launched a terrifying attack toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming, be careful," Huang Ling warned. Lu Ming's expression was calm. He held a holy weapon in his hand and stepped out. Dong! Suddenly, endless runes appeared in the sky, forming a terrifying sealing power that covered the Golden Crow Fourth Prince and the others. Oh no, it's the law of Array Dao, the sealing power. Why does he have two types of law? Chapter 1802. Not only did Lu Ming possess two types of laws, but they were also extremely terrifying. The law of chaos was one of the 10 strongest laws in the world, while the law of array was also one of the sovereign laws, second only to the 10 strongest laws. In the martial sage realm, one could only cultivate one type of law and control one type of law. Only when one reached the martial emperor realm, one could cultivate multiple types of laws. This was an ironclad rule. How could Lu Ming control two types of laws in the martial sage realm? Kill! Lu Ming stepped forward and slashed out with his sword. The terrifying sword radiance caused the void to tremble. The sword radiance slashed out and the attack of the Ziji sect's genius collapsed instantly. The sword radiance did not stop and slashed down. The Ziji sect's genius in the Great Sage realm did not even have time to scream before he was split in half by Lu Ming's sword. So what if he was a genius in the Great Sage realm? Lu Ming, who had reached the Great Sage realm, still slashed him in half with his sword. Retreat quickly. This person is demonic. We can't fight him head-on. Someone roared and retreated frantically. The genius in the Great Sage realm was slashed by Lu Ming in half with his sword. This kind of combat strength was too shocking and made them shiver all over. The Golden Crow Fourth Prince, who had previously relied on his cultivation to act high and mighty, retreated faster than anyone else. However, as soon as they retreated, it was as if they had hit a wall. The space in the void seemed to have solidified. On the other side, Bubble pouted and looked harmless. Kill! Lu Ming stepped on the air and slashed out with his sword. The chi of the war weapon soared into the sky. Poof! Blood splattered and another genius in the Great Sage realm was slashed. The others were scared out of their wits. They frantically fled in all directions. However, Bubble used the spacetime domain and sealed the void. They could not escape at all. Lu Ming moved and killed another genius. Kill! Then, Lu Ming shouted again and the divine sword art burst out and blasted into the bodies of the geniuses. Those geniuses below the Great Sage realm screamed and then breathed their last. All those below the Great Sage realm had their souls torn apart by Lu Ming. Even the Great Sage geniuses were trembling and bleeding from their 7 orifices. Lu Ming had broken through to the Great Sage realm, and his battle prowess had skyrocketed. These geniuses who were at the same level as him or one level higher were no match for Lu Ming at all. The difference between them was too great. There were only 4 people left at the scene. The Golden Crow Fourth Crown Prince, the Fifth Crown Prince, the Sky Bird Palace, and the Sky Wolf Pagoda each had a prodigy. Lu Ming, you've killed so many of our men. You're dead for sure. The Golden Crow Fourth Prince roared. How laughable. You were the ones who came to kill Long Chen and the others first. Could it be that you don't allow us to resist? Lu Ming stared at the Golden Crow Fourth Prince and said coldly. Then he charged towards the Golden Crow Fourth Prince. The Golden Crow Fourth Prince's expression was extremely ugly. At this moment, he seemed to have made some sort of decision. A ruthless expression flashed through his eyes. Then, he opened his mouth and spat out a pair of wings. It was a pair of golden wings. At first glance, one could tell that it was the wings of the Golden Crow. The Golden Crow Fourth Prince spat out a few mouthfuls of blood on the wings. The wings shone brightly and the fire of the sun burned fiercely. The Golden Crow Fourth Prince turned into a beam of golden light and flew out like lightning. Crack! The spatial wall set up by the bubble couldn't stop him at all and was directly penetrated. Then, the Golden Crow fourth prince ran away at an incredible speed and disappeared without a trace. Emperor-level Golden Crow wings. Lu Ming's face was gloomy. He didn't expect the Golden Crow fourth prince to have such a treasure. It was clearly a pair of Emperor-level Golden Crow wings. Together with the Golden Crow fourth prince's origin blood, his speed was extremely fast. In a short time, he had the speed of an Emperor-level Golden Crow. Lu Ming couldn't catch up with him at all. This was the best life-saving treasure. After the Golden Crow fourth prince ran away, the remaining three showed a glimmer of hope. Lu Ming, you'd better let me go. My fourth brother has escaped. The martial emperors outside will soon know that you killed so many of our people. They won't let you go. If you let me go, I can find my fourth brother first. When we get out, we'll keep this a secret. We won't say that you killed them. The Golden Crow fifth prince shouted. That's right. We can also keep this a secret. Otherwise, you'll die without a burial place when the martial emperors are angry. The Sky Pride of the Sky Bird Palace said. Oh, is that so? Lu Ming pondered. The Golden Crow fifth prince and the others were overjoyed. They thought that Lu Ming was really afraid and didn't dare to kill them. Suddenly, Lu Ming moved. He stabbed the Golden Crow fifth prince's dantian and nailed him to the ground. Lu Ming. The Golden Crow fifth prince shouted. The Golden Crow fifth prince screamed and looked at Lu Ming in disbelief. He could not figure out why Lu Ming would suddenly attack. What a fool. Even if today's incident didn't happen, do you think that those martial emperors would let me go? Lu Ming sneered. Because of what happened at the Thousand Spirit Exchange, the four factions were after him. The relationship between them couldn't be eased at all. They wouldn't rest until one of them was dead. What was the difference if today's incident didn't happen? The two Sky Prides of the Sky Wolf Pagoda and the Sky Bird Palace were also stunned. They didn't expect Lu Ming to suddenly attack. Kill! Kill! Huang Ling and Long Chen exploded with terrifying attacks. Those two were careless and cried out miserably as they were killed by Huang Ling and Long Chen. Their combat strength was inferior to Long Chen and Huang Ling. Now that they were distracted, how could they survive? You didn't have to do anything. Leave them to me. Lu Ming looked at Huang Ling and Long Chen. They came to kill us. How can we not kill them? Long Chen said without any fear. It's a pity that one of them escaped. If the martial emperors of the Wan family find out, I'm afraid they will go crazy. Lu Ming said. These were the top Sky Prides of the various factions. This was a great loss. Even the powerful factions of the sacred grounds would feel heartache. So what if they go crazy? They killed us first. I must report it to the palace master. It's good enough that we don't find trouble with them. Huang Ling said. Beside Huang Ling and the other Sky Prides swallowed hard. Their hearts were in turmoil and they couldn't calm down. A group of powerful Sky Prides died just like that. Most of them died at the hands of Lu Ming. He was really a god of death. How many Sky Prides had he killed during this period of time? Let's pack up and leave this place first. Lu Ming said. He then put away the storage rings of these people and left one after another, heading toward the mountain of alchemy furnaces. Lu Ming changed his form and aura again and followed beside Long Chen and the others. In another direction, a ray of light flashed and the Golden Crow fourth prince appeared. At this moment, his face was pale. After he stopped, he spat out a few mouthfuls of blood and hurriedly put away his wings. Although that pair of wings was an excellent treasure for escaping, every time he used it, it consumed a lot of his body. Lu Ming, you killed several princes of the Golden Crow clan. No one can save you. You will die without a burial place. Chapter 1803. Lu Ming, Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the others continued to walk towards the Pill Furnace Mountain. After walking for another hour, they finally got close to the Pill Furnace Mountain. The closer they got, the more they felt the majesty of the Pill Furnace Mountain. It towered into the sky like an incomparably huge pill furnace. Moreover, there was a rich medicinal fragrance that constantly wafted over. It made one feel energetic and active. Boom! Boom! There was a violent explosion in front of them. It turned out that someone was attacking the mountain. There was a huge stone door on the mountain. A few young geniuses were constantly attacking it. All kinds of terrifying attacks landed on the stone door, causing violent explosions. However, the stone door did not budge at all. After attacking for a while, the few young geniuses retreated and shook their heads helplessly. It's impossible to break through. The entire mountain is indestructible. Someone sighed. There were many young geniuses in this area. All of them had gloomy expressions. They were outside the mountain gate but could not enter. They were unwilling to accept it. The arrival of Lu Ming and the others attracted the attention of some people. A young man in a brocade robe had an extremely sharp aura. His gaze swept towards Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the others like lightning. He revealed a surprised expression and said coldly, "How can you guys still be here? Hee, why can't we be here?" Huang Ling retorted with a cold smile. Long Chen transmitted his voice to Lu Ming. This young man was also a genius of the Wan clan. He was the #1 genius of the Wan clan, Wan Zhengyang. Obviously, not all the geniuses of the Wan clan, Sky Wolf Pagoda, and the other forces went to attack Huang Ling and the others. Perhaps in their opinion, those people were enough. Wan Zhengyang's gaze was cold as thoughts kept running through his mind. He thought to himself, could it be that the others did not encounter Huang Ling? Long Chen and the others must be so. Otherwise, with that force, they could have killed Huang Ling and the others. It's nothing. You guys are quite lucky. Wan Zhengyang smiled faintly. At the side, the other geniuses of Sky Wolf Pagoda, Ziji Sect, and Sky Bird Palace also looked at Huang Ling and the others maliciously. They also thought that Huang Ling and the others were lucky that they did not encounter the people who surrounded them. However, there were geniuses of all the major forces here. It was not convenient for them to attack. Let me try. Another person stepped forward and attacked the stone door, attracting the attention of others. This person had the cultivation of great sage, great mastery. Among the younger generation of the ancient Moon Holy Land, he was definitely one of the top existences. Even so, he was still unable to break open the stone door. After a few dozen blows, the stone door did not budge at all. He could only retreat in defeat. Then, other experts stepped forward, but it was useless. This included Wan Zhengyang. This person was worthy of being called the #1 genius of the Wan clan. His combat prowess was extremely terrifying, and his cultivation had reached the peak of the Great Saint realm. There were not many people in the entire ancient Moon Holy Land who had reached the peak of Great Sage at such a young age. However, Wan Zhengyang did not blast open the stone door. Later on, a few more geniuses at the same level as Wan Zhengyang appeared. They were all the strongest geniuses of various forces, but they still returned without any success. Many people were silent. Outside the mountain, emperor-level cultivators couldn't enter. They would be blocked. But now, here, a stone door was blocking the path of a young genius. Could it be that he could not enter the Great Pill Development Hall? Many people were extremely unwilling. Did you all see that? There's a brand on the stone door. Huang Ling transmitted her voice to Long Chen and Lu Ming. I saw it. It's very similar to the Origin Immemorial Inheritance token. Lu Ming and Long Chen both nodded. They had seen that there was a brand in the center of the stone door. It looked exactly the same as the Origin Immemorial Inheritance token. Moreover, there were words in the middle of the brand. However, perhaps too many years had passed, the words were no longer clear. "Do you want to give it a try?" Huang Ling asked. "Let's wait a little longer. There are so many people now. If we try it here and open the door, wouldn't it benefit others?" Lu Ming said. Huang Ling and Long Chen nodded. Everyone started to wait here. However, after a few days, there were more and more people here. There was no sign of it decreasing. "I'll lure them away. You guys take the opportunity to give it a try." With that, Lu Ming moved and went along the mountain of alchemy furnaces. He came to the other side of the mountain of alchemy furnaces and then punched the mountain. The mountain shone and let out a violent roar. It could not be blasted open at all, but the sound spread far and wide. "There's an entrance. An entrance has opened here." Lu Ming roared at the top of his voice. "What? There's an entrance? Is it true? Whether it's true or not, let's go and take a look." Almost everyone moved and pounced in the direction of Lu Ming. Lu Ming changed his appearance again and left the place, heading in the direction of the stone door. After returning to the stone door, he saw that Huang Ling and Long Chen's faces were not looking good. "It's useless." Long Chen shook his head at Lu Ming. "Long Chen and I have tried just now. When we took out the Origin Immemorial Inheritance token, there was no reaction at all." Huang Ling added. "No reaction?" Lu Ming frowned. Could it be that their guess was wrong? However, the brand looked very similar to the Origin Immemorial Inheritance token. They guessed that it was very likely that the ancestor of the Great Pill Development Hall, who was also the successor of the Origin Immemorial sect, left this stone door. Only the successor of the Origin Immemorial sect could enter. Could it be that their guess was wrong? Was it just a coincidence? At this time, the other young people had returned. "Damn, we've been cheated." Which bastard shouted. "If I find out who's tricking us, I'll kill him." Many people cursed, knowing that they had been cheated. Then, some people began to study the stone door, but they found nothing. "Lu Ming, could it be that our inheritance tokens are not of a high enough level? You're a gold successor. It might be useful." Huang Ling transmitted her voice to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded. He had also thought of that possibility. "Lu Ming, I'll lure them away. You try," Long Chen said. Then, he quietly headed in another direction. Not long after, there was a rumbling sound. "There's an entrance here." Then, there was another loud roar. "Damn, it's the same trick again. That bastard is trying to trick us again. If it's true, let's go and take a look." Some people cursed and rushed in that direction. However, this time, some people did not move and stayed behind, especially Wang Zhengyang. He had been keeping an eye on Lu Ming and the group. At this moment, when he saw that Long Chen had disappeared, he was even more suspicious and stayed behind. Lu Ming furrowed his brows, but he could not be bothered anymore. The Origin Immemorial sect's gold inheritance token appeared in his hand. Buzz! As soon as the gold inheritance token appeared, it vibrated. Then, a ray of light shot out and landed on the imprint on the stone door. "It really works." Lu Ming's eyes lit up. "You have the key?" Wang Zhengyang looked at Lu Ming with a fiery gaze. Buzz! The stone door vibrated and shone brightly. Then, a door of light appeared. "It's open. The Great Pill Development Scripture is mine." Chapter 1804. Lu Ming's face darkened. However, with so many people trying to enter the light door, it would be difficult for him to stop them. However, the result was unexpected. Wang Zhengyang crashed into the light door, and his head was spinning. He could not enter and was blocked. Damn it, how could this be? Wang Zhengyang roared. Then, he looked at the token in Lu Ming's hand, which shone with a blazing light. Kid, give me your token. Wang Zhengyang shouted and rushed toward Lu Ming. A battle sword appeared in his hand, and he slashed at Lu Ming, trying to cut off Lu Ming's arm. Swoosh! Lu Ming moved and dodged Wang Zhengyang's attack at the speed of lightning. He dashed toward the light door. Stay here. Two young men appeared in front of Lu Ming. They stood in front of Lu Ming coldly and grabbed at Lu Ming. Get lost! Lu Ming shouted and threw out 2 punches in a row. Bang! Bang! The 2 young men's bodies shook violently, and they were sent flying backward, vomiting blood. The law of chaos. You're Lu Ming. One of them shouted. Lu Ming? Stay here. Behind him, Wang Zhengyang emitted a cold killing intent. Sacred weapons flew out of his acupuncture points, and the aura of the weapons gathered. A terrifying sword chi slashed at Lu Ming. A battle sword appeared in Lu Ming's hand, and he slashed backward, clashing with Wang Zhengyang's battle sword. Clang! There was a terrifying vibration. Lu Ming's body borrowed the force to move forward rapidly, rushing toward the light door. The light door was like a ripple, and it did not hinder Lu Ming at all. Lu Ming rushed into the light door and disappeared. Damn it! Wang Zhengyang roared and slashed at the light door. However, the light door was indestructible, and there was no reaction at all. Moreover, the light dimmed, and the next moment, it disappeared. What's going on? At this moment, the other youths rushed over and asked in surprise. Lu Ming, it's Lu Ming. He went in. Wang Zhengyang roared, extremely unwilling. What? Lu Ming went in? How can he get in? The others were even more confused. He has a key that can open a door of light. Damn it! Shouted Wang Zhengyang furiously. Then, he looked at Huang Ling coldly and said, Lu Ming has a key. Do you have one? Hand it over. Lu Ming has it, but why would I? Ridiculous. Huang Ling sneered. Of course you won't admit it. I'll search for it myself. Wang Zhengyang took a step forward and was about to force Huang Ling. As the number 1 person in the Wan clan's younger generation, Wang Zhengyang's battle prowess was definitely powerful. Huang Ling was definitely not his match. Boom! At this moment, the entire Pill Furnace Mountain shook violently. Following that, a halo of light erupted from the mountain and swept out in all directions. Anyone who was swept by the halo of light was sent flying out of the mountain. As the light swept across, all of the young men who had entered were swept away, flying out of the mountain. Outside the mountain, countless people stood in the sky, staring at the Pill Furnace Mountain from afar, waiting. In the sky, several martial monarchs stood there, emitting a terrifying aura. It felt like there were dozens of worlds there, trying to devour everything. Suddenly, the Pill Furnace Mountain shook violently. Following this, the crowd saw a glow bursting out. Following this, the youths were sent flying out of the mountain at a shocking speed. They only managed to stabilize their figures after flying out of the mountain. Damn it! Wang Zhengyang let out a long howl, his fury soaring to the heavens. What's going on? In the sky, the martial monarchs of the Wan clan glared at Wang Zhengyang with sharp eyes. Senior martial monarch, someone has entered the Pill Furnace Mountain. Wang Zhengyang said. Facing a martial monarch, even the younger generation would address him as senior martial monarch out of respect. What? Someone has entered the Pill Furnace Mountain? Who is it? The martial monarch of the Wan clan's eyes shone brightly. The powerhouses of the other forces were shocked. They began to look at the geniuses of their respective forces, hoping that it was one of them who had entered. Lu Ming, it's Lu Ming. Wan Zhengyang's voice sounded again. Many people were shocked by his words. Lu Ming. It was Lu Ming again. Not long ago, Lu Ming's name had caused a stir in the ancient moon's sacred ground. He was so bold that he had killed more than 10 geniuses of the 4 major forces at the Thousand Spirit Exchange. There were also more than 10 senior great sages. In the end, the 4 major forces sent out a large number of powerhouses and even martial monarchs to search for Lu Ming, but it was to no avail. Even some martial monarchs had heard of Lu Ming's name. After disappearing for a while, he had entered the Pill Furnace Mountain without anyone noticing. Even some martial monarchs were surprised. It's this kid again. How did he enter? Is he alone? The martial monarch of the Wan clan asked. Lu Ming has the key and opened the door. Wan Zhengyang briefly explained the situation inside. Then, he looked at Huang Ling and Long Chen and said, "You are with Lu Ming. Do you also have the key?" Ridiculous. If we had the key, why would we be here? Huang Ling sneered. At this time, the martial monarch of the Wan clan noticed Huang Ling and Long Chen. He could not help but frown. Didn't he send people to kill Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the others? Why were they still alive? Then, he looked around and found that several geniuses of the Wan clan were missing. He frowned and asked coldly, "Zhengyang, where are Tianchao and the others? Why are they missing? Where are Dark Wolf and the others from Sky Wolf Tower? Why are they missing?" Sky Bird Palace. Then, the powerhouses of the major forces looked around and said coldly. They all found that some people were missing from their respective sections. Whoosh! The martial monarch of the Wan clan looked at Huang Ling and asked, "Speak, where did my Wan clan's Wan Tianchao and the others go?" Huang Ling's expression changed, and she said, "Senior, you must be joking. How would I know where your Wan clan's geniuses are? They are all dead. They were killed by Huang Ling, Long Chen, and Lu Ming." At this time, a loud cry rang out. Everyone looked over and found that the one who spoke was the Golden Crow 4th Prince. What? They were killed? The martial monarchs of the Wan clan, Sky Wolf Tower, and the others all burst out with terrifying auras. That's right. I saw it with my own eyes. They killed them. The Golden Crow 4th Prince shouted, his eyes flickering with a sinister light. How dare you kill my Wan clan's geniuses? You are seeking death. The martial monarch of the Wan clan roared and took a step forward. This step shook heaven and earth as if the world was about to explode. The horrifying aura made everyone's expression change drastically as they frantically retreated. Huang Ling was the same. She quickly retreated, but she still felt a strong pressure. Her delicate figure trembled, and she vomited a mouthful of blood. However, at this moment, a figure appeared before Huang Ling. A similarly horrifying aura burst out and blocked the aura of the Wan clan's martial monarch. A bona fide martial monarch wants to make a move on a junior? Chapter 1805. Phoenix Palace's martial emperor stood in front of Huang Ling and stared coldly at Wan clan's martial emperor. His terrifying aura made Wan clan's martial emperor stop in his tracks. Huang Ling, what is going on? Phoenix Palace's martial emperor asked Huang Ling. It's like this. When Long Chen and I were heading to the Pill Furnace Mountain, we encountered people from the Wan family, Sky Wolf Pagoda, Sky Bird Palace, and Purple Pole Palace. Fortunately, Lu Ming arrived in time and saved us. Huang Ling explained. What? The 4 superpowers surrounded you? How dare you? Phoenix Palace's martial emperor was enraged when he heard what Huang Ling said. Dazzling phoenix flames erupted from his body and a huge phoenix flew out. Wan Clan's martial emperor's face changed and an imperial weapon appeared in his hand. He threw it out to block the flaming phoenix. The four superpowers surrounded Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the others. In the end, they were killed. Now, the martial emperor wants to deal with Huang Ling and the others. This is ridiculous. Do you think Phoenix Palace is easy to bully? Phoenix Palace's martial emperor said. A phoenix circled above his head and its aura grew stronger. The people from the other sects and forces around them understood what was going on. The four major forces secretly sent geniuses to kill Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the rest. They did not know why, but Lu Ming intervened midway and caused them to be killed. Now, they wanted to blame the people who were besieged. They looked at Wan Clan, Sky Wolf Pagoda, and the other superpowers with a hint of mockery. No matter what, our geniuses were killed. Those who killed them will have to pay the price. Another figure stepped out with a ferocious aura. This person was Sky Wolf Pagoda's martial emperor. Then, two more figures stepped out. They were Sky Bird Palace's and Amethyst Sect's martial emperors. They charged toward Huang Ling and the others. Ridiculous. Your men were trash and couldn't kill others. Instead, they were killed. Now, the martial emperor wants to step in. Does that mean that I can kill any of you? Someone laughed coldly. Beside Long Chen, a tall and burly figure stepped out. He was like a giant elephant in the sky and his aura was violent. He was Divine Elephant Sect's martial emperor. The six martial emperors' auras exploded and they faced each other in the sky. The people around them were forced to retreat. Only the martial emperors could stand their ground. The four of you broke the rules like this. From now on, the younger generation shouldn't go out. Otherwise, everyone who comes out will die. A figure covered in lightning energy spoke indifferently. A terrifying pressure pressed down on the martial emperors of the Wan Clan, Sky Wolf Pagoda, and the other three factions. This was the Thunder God Sect's martial emperor. Thunder God Sect and Phoenix Palace had always been on good terms. Naturally, they would stand on Phoenix Palace's side. The Thunder God Sect's martial emperor's words caused the eyes of all the martial emperors present to flicker. That's right, the younger generation wanted to kill others and was killed in the end. Now, the martial emperor wanted to take revenge. In that case, wouldn't the martial emperors of the other forces be able to stop controlling the situation? If they saw the younger generation of the enemy forces, or those below the martial emperor realm, they would directly attack and destroy them. This way, aside from the martial emperors themselves, all the major powers would die. Not a single one would survive. If that was the case, what was the point? This was a violation of the rules. The expressions of the martial emperors of the Wan Clan, Heavenly Wolf Pagoda, and the other three forces turned unsightly. That's right, if they wanted to force their way in, the martial emperors of the Phoenix Palace and the Divine Elephant Sect could also act. They had no choice but to be wary of killing those below the martial emperor realm. Their expressions were ugly, and they were caught in a dilemma. Where are Old 4, Old 5, and Old 9? At that moment, a Golden Crow martial emperor looked at the Golden Crow fourth prince and asked. Dead, they're all dead. They were killed by Lu Ming. Old ancestor, you must kill Lu Ming and avenge Old 5 and the others. The Golden Crow fourth prince shouted. What? Lu Ming again? The surrounding people were dumbfounded. The princes of the Golden Crow clan were killed by Lu Ming. This Lu Ming was really audacious. First, he killed the geniuses of the four major factions. Now, he even killed the princes of the Golden Crow clan. Audacious to the extreme, lawless, and out of control. That was the impression that many experts had of Lu Ming. Damn it, how dare you kill my Golden Crow prince? Die! The Golden Crow martial emperor let out a sharp cry that pierced the eardrums of many people. They almost vomited blood. The people of the Wan clan, Sky Wolf Pagoda, Ziji Sect, and Sky Bird Palace were all killed by Lu Ming. This brat suddenly attacked. Despicable! The Golden Crow Fourth Prince shouted again. Compared to Huang Ling and Long Chen, he hated Lu Ming more. Now that the situation had reached a stalemate, he shifted all his hatred to Lu Ming. He had to kill Lu Ming. In fact, that was the case. Before he fled, the people he saw were all killed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming! Lu Ming! The martial emperors of the Wan clan, Sky Wolf Pagoda, and other factions softly repeated this name. Their voices were not heavy, but they were filled with cold killing intent. Lu Ming must die. Now that he has entered the Pill Furnace Mountain, we will wait here for him to come out. Once he comes out, kill him without mercy. The martial emperor of the Wan clan said coldly. Then, the various major factions surrounded this area and waited for Lu Ming to come out. Lu Ming naturally did not know anything about what was happening outside. After he charged through the door of light, he arrived in a huge stone room. The stone room was extremely spacious and empty. There was almost nothing else in it except for an alchemy cauldron. There was a huge alchemy cauldron in the middle of the stone room. It was at least 100 meters tall. However, this alchemy cauldron was completely corroded. It was covered in rust and did not have any spirituality, like a piece of scrap metal. Lu Ming looked around but found nothing. Is this the Great Pill Evolution Hall? But there is nothing here, not to mention any inheritance. Lu Ming muttered, somewhat disappointed. Buzz! Suddenly, a buzzing sound rang out, startling Lu Ming. He retreated and looked around cautiously. Buzz! Another buzzing sound attracted Lu Ming's attention. He looked at the rusty alchemy cauldron. The sound came from the alchemy cauldron. Then, the sound of the alchemy cauldron vibrating grew louder. Crack! Lu Ming saw that the rust on the alchemy cauldron cracked and fell off continuously. A scarlet light spread out. Furthermore, there were many mysterious patterns on the alchemy cauldron. It smells so good. Lu Ming's expression changed. He could smell a strong medicinal fragrance coming from the alchemy cauldron. The alchemy cauldron vibrated more and more violently. The rust on it fell off in large chunks. Finally, a scarlet alchemy cauldron appeared in front of Lu Ming. It shone brilliantly like a divine radiance. Buzz! In the end, the alchemy cauldron vibrated and rose into the air, suppressing Lu Ming. Oh no! Lu Ming's expression changed. His body flashed rapidly as he tried to dodge. However, a terrifying force exploded from the alchemy cauldron. Lu Ming's surroundings seemed to be confined. He could not move his body even if he used all his strength. Nestle, will I be smashed to death by this alchemy cauldron? That would be such a waste. Chapter 1806. The Crimson Cauldron emitted a terrifying aura that was scorching hot. As it approached Lu Ming felt as if he was being burnt. However, a strange scene occurred. When the cauldron approached Lu Ming, it shrunk rapidly and turned into a ray of light that rushed into Lu Ming's mind and disappeared. In the next moment, the cauldron appeared in Lu Ming's mind and emitted a blinding light. At the same time, a large amount of information rushed into Lu Ming's mind. Lu Ming subconsciously sat down cross-legged and began to digest the information. After an unknown period of time, Lu Ming opened his eyes. Great Development Cauldron, Great Development Pill Scripture. I didn't expect to receive the inheritance of the Great Development Pill Hall. Lu Ming muttered with a complicated expression. There were two main types of information that appeared in his mind. One was the Great Development Pill Scripture, and the other was the Sacred Scripture of Alchemy. The Great Development Pill Scripture is indeed mysterious. Just like the rumors, it can use the laws of heaven and earth to refine pills. Lu Ming's face was filled with amazement. Of course, he only had a rough idea of the contents of the Great Development Pill scripture. He was still far from comprehending it. He would need to spend more time to comprehend it. There was another piece of information, which was the Great Development Pill formation. There were ancestors of the Great Development Pill Hall who had carved a powerful formation in the vicinity of this mountain. At this moment, all the information was in Lu Ming's mind and could be easily grasped by Lu Ming. This place is protected by a large formation and rich in origin qi. It's not a bad place to live in the future. Lu Ming smiled. Tap. 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 At this time, in the quiet stone room, there was a clear sound. This sound seemed to be the sound of a wooden stick hitting the ground. Someone's here. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Was there still a descendant of the Great Development Pill Hall alive? Lu Ming focused his attention and scanned his surroundings. The tapping sound was getting closer and closer. Then, Lu Ming saw a figure walking out from the depths of the stone room. This was an old man wearing gray clothes. However, this old man was truly very old. Not much of his snow-white hair remained. His body was skinny, and the wrinkles on his face piled up like a mountain. There was no martial aura emanating from his body. He looked like an ordinary old man who was on the verge of death. But Lu Ming did not dare to be the slightest bit careless. Since the other party appeared in the Great Pill Evolution Hall, it was most likely not ordinary. How many years has it been? Someone is finally here. The old man spoke in a hoarse voice, but his voice was weak and feeble. He opened his murky eyes and looked at Lu Ming. Suddenly, he bowed to Lu Ming. This old servant greets the new hall master. Lu Ming hurriedly waved his hand, and a force lifted the old man up. He asked, "Senior, why are you doing this? Also, who are you?" "This old servant is just a servant of the Great Development Pill Hall. I was ordered to guard the Great Development Pill Hall and wait for the arrival of the new descendant of the Great Development Pill Hall. Finally, before I die, the new descendant of the Great Development Pill Hall has arrived." The old man said. "I've become the descendant of the Great Development Pill Hall?" Lu Ming asked. "That's right. The previous hall master said that anyone who can enter here is the descendant of the Great Development Pill Hall. Otherwise, why would the Great Development Pill Furnace enter your sea of consciousness and recognize you as its master?" The old man explained. "Senior, what's going on? What does this have to do with the descendant of the Hunyuan sect? Can you explain it to me?" Lu Ming asked the doubts in his heart. "It's very simple. The previous hall master is also the descendant of the Hunyuan sect. He's a silver descendant." After saying that, a token appeared in the old man's hand. It shone with a silver light. It was the Hunyuan sect silver inheritance token. The previous sect master said that the Great Development Pill Hall can only appear when the Hunyuan sect's gold descendant is born. The gold descendant is the descendant of the Great Development Pill Hall and the hall master of the Great Development Pill Hall. Some time ago, through the silver inheritor token, I sensed that the gold inheritor of the Hunyuan sect had finally appeared. So, I opened the Great Evolution Pill Palace and waited for the arrival of the gold inheritor of the Hunyuan sect. I did not expect the palace master to arrive so soon. It seems like the palace master is in the ancient Moon Holy Land. The old man explained in detail. I see. Lu Ming suddenly understood. No wonder there was a mark of the Hunyuan sect's inheritance token on the stone door. No wonder no one could enter, not even Huang Ling and Long Chen. He was the only one who could enter. This was because the Great Development Pill Hall had appeared for him. If he did not come, no one else would be able to obtain the inheritance. Then, he thought of another question. The silver inheritance token could sense the birth of a gold descendant. Did that mean that the previous Hunyuan sect's inheritors could sense it? Even some powerful existences knew that a gold descendant had appeared? It seemed like he had to be more careful in the future. Unless it was necessary, he could not reveal his identity as the gold descendant of the Hunyuan sect. Lu Ming pondered in his heart. If some powerful existences harbored ill intentions and knew that he was the gold inheritor of the Hunyuan sect, they might slap him to death. By the way, Senior, where are the others in the Great Development Pill Hall? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat and he asked again. There's no one else. There's only me. If a few more days pass, I'm afraid I'll be buried. Luckily, the heavens have eyes. Before I'm buried, the Palace Master came here and inherited the Great Evolution Pill Palace. Even if I die, I can rest in peace. The old man said, his voice filled with sadness. Lu Ming was shocked and he said, why is Senior the only one left in the Great Development Pill Hall? Legend has it that when one reaches the Martial Emperor realm, his lifespan is unlimited and he is almost immortal. Lu Ming was indeed shocked. Lu Ming did not believe that the Great Development Pill Hall did not have a martial monarch realm expert. In the ancient era, the Great Development Pill Hall was famous in the Primordial Mountain. Their alchemy skills were unparalleled, and they were able to establish their own sect in the ancient moon's sacred ground. Moreover, after countless years, almost all the major factions in the ancient moon's sacred ground were on the move. Even martial monarchs showed up. How could such a faction not have a martial monarch? Lu Ming did not believe it. It's true that martial monarchs have an endless lifespan, but none of them are truly immortal. The old man sighed. Lu Ming was confused. Could it be that the rumors were wrong? Palace Master, you probably don't know this yet, right? The Martial Emperor realm has an endless lifespan. However, there will be a great calamity every 333 years. Those who manage to overcome it will have their cultivation tempered and become stronger. They might even be able to advance to the next level. However, those who fail to overcome it will be turned into ashes by the great calamity. The old man's explanation made Lu Ming's heart skip a beat. Martial monarchs had to face a great tribulation every 333 years. Those who failed to survive the tribulation would be turned into ashes. Martial monarchs were not free of worries. They had to face great tribulations to achieve immortality. In other words, martial monarchs pursued strength more than other cultivators because they would die if they were not strong enough. Each tribulation is more powerful than the previous one. If martial monarchs remain stagnant, they will die under the tribulation. So what if you're a martial monarch? You can't escape the punishment of the heavens. Chapter 1807. Could it be that all the previous palace masters have fallen under the great calamity? Lu Ming asked. More or less. The old man said as if he was reminiscing, in the ancient times, although the Great Pill Development Palace had a small number of people, it was extremely powerful. There were a few generations of palace masters who were still alive. Unfortunately, a few generations of palace masters did not manage to survive the great calamity and died under the heavenly tribulation. The Great Development Pill Scripture and the Great Development Pill Furnace of the Great Development Pill Palace were coveted by others. Previously, there were a few generations of palace masters guarding the palace and no one dared to touch it. However, after the deaths of a few generations of palace masters, other forces started to get restless. After that, the previous palace master had no choice but to seal the Great Development Pill Palace and hide it in the endless void. In the endless years that followed, the others died of old age and the previous palace master also fell under the great calamity. Only my lineage is left to guard the Great Development Pill Palace for generations, the old man continued to explain, and Lu Ming roughly understood. The old man's lineage was the servant of the Great Development Palace and also the guardian of the Great Development Pill Palace for generations. In the endless years that the Great Development Pill Palace was in seclusion, the others had all died of old age. The previous palace master of the Great Development Pill Palace had also fallen under the Great Calamity. The Great Development Pill Palace was considered to have lost its inheritance and only the old man's lineage continued to be passed down. However, the old man was the only one left in the lineage. If Lu Ming still did not come, the entire Great Development Pill Palace might really disappear in the long river of history. Palace Master, you can cultivate here in the future. If there's anything you don't understand, feel free to ask this old servant. The old man said. Senior, you don't have to be so polite. Just call me Lu Ming. Lu Ming said. Lu Ming was not used to the old man calling him an old servant. No, you're the palace master of the Great Development Pill Palace and I'm a servant of the Great Development Pill Palace. I should address you as Palace Master. Palace Master, don't call me senior in the future. This old servant is not worthy of it. Palace Master, you can call me by my name. My name is Dan Kong. The old man said. Then I'll call you Uncle Kong. This matter is settled. Lu Ming said. The old man pondered for a moment before he nodded and said, Hall Master, first familiarize yourself with the Great Development Pill Formation and Great Development Pill Scripture. After that, this old servant will explain some of the profound uses of the Great Development Pill Furnace to Hall Master. It will be of great help to Hall Master. Many thanks, Uncle Kong. Lu Ming cupped his fists. A trace of a smile appeared on Dan Kong's face. He leaned on his walking stick and walked towards the front of the stone room, disappearing from there. Clearly, there was another space in front of the stone chamber. After the old man left, Lu Ming sat cross-legged and familiarized himself with the control of the Great Yen Pill Array. Several days passed in a twinkle. Lu Ming felt that his control over the Great Yen Pill Array was already more or less there. Let's go out for a while. I came in alone earlier. I wonder how Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the others are doing. Lu Ming pondered, feeling a little uneasy. Previously, he had killed many sky prides of the four major forces and the Golden Crow tribe, but the Golden Crow fourth prince had escaped. This matter would probably cause a commotion among the four major forces and the Golden Crow tribe. He did not know if Huang Ling and Long Chen would be implicated. If he did not get to the bottom of this, he would feel uneasy. Lu Ming stood up and walked towards the stone door in the stone chamber. Strangely, when Lu Ming walked to the stone door, a door of light automatically appeared on the stone door and Lu Ming walked through it. Now, Lu Ming could control the entire Great Yen Pill Array. Lu Ming could enter and exit any place in the Great Development Pill Hall freely. Outside the Pill Furnace Mountain, there were still many people waiting. A few days passed in the blink of an eye for a martial Dao expert. It was nothing. Someone has come out of the Pill Furnace Mountain. Suddenly, someone shouted loudly. Immediately after, everyone's gaze turned towards the Mountain of Cauldrons. A black-robed young man stepped out of the Pill Furnace Mountain. Who else could it be but Lu Ming? Lu Ming. The martial emperors from the Wan clan, Golden Crow tribe, and Sky Wolf Pagoda all looked at Lu Ming with eyes as sharp as divine swords. They did not hide their killing intent. However, Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the others' faces changed drastically. Lu Ming, don't come out. Quickly return to the Pill Furnace Mountain. Huang Ling shouted anxiously. Shut up. The martial emperors from the Wan clan shouted coldly. Their sharp eyes swept towards Huang Ling, causing her face to turn pale. Lu Ming naturally saw the people outside and heard Huang Ling's voice. However, he did not stop and continued to step out. He only stopped when he reached the edge of the Pill Furnace Mountain. He looked around and heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that Huang Ling and Long Chen were safe. Lu Ming, did you obtain the Great Development Pill Scripture and the Great Development Pill Furnace? The martial emperors from the Wan clan looked at Lu Ming with eyes as sharp as swords. So what if I did? So what if I didn't? Lu Ming raised his head and looked at the martial emperors from the Wan clan. He did not fear the martial emperors at all. Regardless of whether you did or not, come with me to the Wan clan. The martial emperors from the Wan clan said in a cold voice. It was a completely commanding tone, but there was no room for doubt. When a martial emperor spoke, his words carried enormous weight. How shameless. Since ancient times, treasures have been obtained by those who are fated. Even if Lu Ming obtained the Great Development Pill Scripture and the Great Development Pill Furnace, it is also his good fortune. It is his fortuitous opportunity. You, a martial emperor, actually want to snatch the fortuitous opportunity of a junior. Aren't you afraid of being ridiculed by the world? Beside Huang Ling, the martial emperors from Phoenix Palace spoke disdainfully. Who said that I want to snatch his fortuitous opportunity? He killed many of my Wan clan's prodigies and has to pay the price. Moreover, the evil spirit sect's vice sect master appeared earlier. It is obvious that the evil spirit sect is about to revive. I suspect that he is from the evil spirit sect and specializes in killing prodigies with the potential to become a martial emperor. Why can't I bring him back to the Wan clan for interrogation? The Wan clan's martial emperor quibbled, directly accusing Lu Ming of being from the evil spirit sect. That's right. Lu Ming specializes in killing prodigies. We must bring him back for interrogation. The Heavenly Wolf Pagoda's martial emperor also spoke, greed flashing in his eyes. In their opinion, not only had Lu Ming obtained the Great Development Pill Scripture and the Great Development Pill Furnace, but he also had other secrets. If they could obtain Lu Ming's secrets, it would definitely be of great use to their various factions. What a joke. This is a martial emperor? You are actually so despicable. Lu Ming sneered, his words full of mockery and disdain. How dare you, a junior, not only do you not kneel and greet a martial emperor, but you also dare to mock me. I will cripple you now. The Wan clan's martial emperor shouted, and a violent aura erupted from his body, pressing toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's figure flashed, and he retreated at lightning speed. You want to leave? In front of me, that is wishful thinking. The Wan clan's martial emperor shouted coldly. He took a step forward, and heaven and earth rumbled. Then, he waved his hand, and an incomparably huge hand blotted out the sky, grabbing toward Lu Ming. Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the others' expressions changed drastically. The Wan clan's martial emperor was too shameless. He actually made a move on a junior. However, Lu Ming's expression was still calm. He quickly retreated, and at the same time, he waved his hand. The entire territory around the Pill Furnace Mountain lit up, and a halo spread out, rushing toward that huge hand. Boom! Chapter 1808. The Wan clan's martial emperor's face darkened. He took a step forward and pointed his finger like a sword. A shocking sword light slashed towards Lu Ming. However, another halo of light rushed out and dispersed this sword radiance. Trying to stop me with the array? How naive! The Wan clan's martial emperor shouted. He took a step forward and rushed into the area of the Pill Furnace Mountain. At the same time, his body glowed and a few weapons appeared. The moment these weapons appeared, a terrifying battle weapon chi soared into the sky. A vast aura covered the sky. Each weapon was dazzling and even the sun was overshadowed. Emperor weapons. These weapons were all Emperor weapons. The Wan clan's martial emperor cultivated the 10,000 weapon art and sealed Emperor weapons. He held a battle sword in his hand and slashed out. Boom! The sword light and the halo above the Pill Furnace Mountain clashed fiercely, causing explosions to ring out. Go! Lu Ming stood in the void, shrouded in endless halos. He waved his hands and the entire area of the Pill Furnace Mountain glowed. Beams of halos appeared, as though they had transformed into blades of death, charging toward the Wan clan's martial emperors. Bang! Bang! A series of explosions rang out and the Wan clan's martial emperor's body shook. He stepped on the air and retreated. Everyone at the scene was shocked. Lu Ming actually dared to fight with a martial emperor. Moreover, he was able to force the martial emperor to retreat. This was simply unbelievable. Lad, you can control the array here. You have indeed obtained the inheritance of the Great Pill Development Hall. The Wan clan's martial emperor shouted. His long hair fluttered in the wind and his aura surged. Everyone was shocked. No wonder Lu Ming could fight with a martial emperor. It turned out that he controlled the array of the Great Pill Development Hall. However, it was still shocking that he had the guts to fight with a martial emperor. Ordinary people would tremble in fear when standing before a martial emperor. They would not even dare to breathe loudly. They would not even dare to think about fighting with a martial emperor. Even if an ordinary person controlled such a large array, it would be useless. Lu Ming lived up to his reputation. He was really bold. So what if you have a large array? I will let you know what a martial emperor is. Those below a martial emperor are just ants. The Wan clan's martial emperor roared. His aura became even more terrifying. It was as though a world had appeared around him. Terrifying energy gushed out from the world and poured into the imperial weapon. The monarch weapons floated in the air. Their power grew more and more terrifying as they pressed down on Lu Ming. Martial Emperor's World Force. Someone exclaimed. Once the Martial Emperor's world force was unleashed, it could crush and destroy everything. However, Lu Ming's expression remained calm. He was very clear on how powerful the Great Dan formation was. Kill! Lu Ming shouted, daring to shout, kill, at the Martial Emperor. At the same time, the Pill Furnace Mountain emitted many halos, rushing out at an extremely shocking speed, instantly attacking the Martial Emperor of the Wan clan, exceeding the reaction speed of many people. Those halos of light bombarded the Imperial armaments non-stop, and began to fight against them intensely. The Imperial armament trembled violently. The world energy contained within the Imperial armament seemed to be on the verge of being dispersed. Break! The Wan clan's martial emperor roared. Heaven and earth were shaking. The power of the world gushed out continuously. However, it was useless. The Wan clan's martial emperor was forced to retreat. Boom! Boom! Every time he took a step back, the void seemed to be on the verge of tearing apart. Although the space of the Yuan continent was extremely stable, many times more stable than the Divine Wilderness continent, martial emperors were too powerful. They could already affect space. A full-powered attack could probably tear space apart. The Wan clan's martial emperor was no match for them and kept retreating. This brat is too daring. He might be from the evil spirit sect. There are no rules when dealing with people from the evil spirit sect. We have to take him down. Brother Wan, I'll lend you a hand. A cold voice rang out. Following that, a figure let out a cry and turned into a huge black eagle, pouncing towards Lu Ming. This person was a fiend the Arch from the Sky Bird Palace. How shameful. You need 2 martial emperors to join forces to deal with a junior. You even found such a high-sounding reason. I can't take it anymore. The martial emperor beside Huang Ling shouted. He stepped forward and struck out with his palm. A phoenix flew out and pounced towards the Sky Bird Palace's fiend the Arch. Your Phoenix Palace is covering up for Lu Ming. Have you sided with the evil spirit sect? Kill! The Sky Bird Palace's fiend the Arch shouted. He flapped his wings like a heavenly blade and scattered the phoenix formed by the Phoenix Palace's martial emperor. At the same time, he did not forget to accuse Phoenix Palace. Bullshit. The Phoenix Palace's martial emperor cursed. His aura erupted as he struck out with his palms. Phoenix cries rang out as phoenixes flew out and engaged in a fierce battle with the Sky Bird Palace's Fiend Arch. Phoenix Palace has interfered. We'll settle this score later. Today, we must take down Lu Ming. Another cold voice rang out as a figure stepped forward. This person was covered in purple light that shot into the sky. It was a martial emperor from the Ziji sect. You've gone too far. The Divine Elephant sect's martial emperor spoke. He stepped forward and appeared in front of the Ziji sect's martial emperor. Your Divine Elephant sect wants to interfere too. I want to experience your Divine Elephant sect's ultimate technique. The Ziji sect's martial emperor spoke. Purple light burst forth, forming a terrifying attack that blasted towards the Divine Elephant sect's martial emperor. As you wish. The Divine Elephant sect's martial emperor shouted and punched out. A group of giant elephants formed and stepped on the void. They leaped towards the Ziji sect's martial emperor as if they were going to crush him. Several martial emperors had erupted here. The martial emperor's battle was earth-shattering. The others were shocked and frantically retreated, afraid of being affected. Today, you can't stop us. Lu Ming must be taken down. Another voice rang out. It came from the Sky Wolf Pagoda's Fiend Arch. He roared and transformed into a giant wolf. Like a mountain, he erupted with a violent aura and rushed towards Lu Ming. This time, no one stopped him. Phoenix Palace and the Divine Elephant sect were close to Lu Ming because of Huang Ling and Long Chen's relationship. That was why they had helped Lu Ming. However, the other forces had no relationship with Lu Ming. Of course, they would not help Lu Ming and offend the Wan clan, Sky Wolf Pagoda, and the other major forces. How dare you kill the Crown Prince of the Golden Crow clan? You must die. The Fiend Arch of the Golden Crow clan shouted and transformed into a giant three-legged golden crow. His body was covered in blazing divine sun fire. He flapped his wings and charged towards Lu Ming like a golden divine blade. The three martial emperors attacked at the same time to take down Lu Ming. The three martial emperors joined forces to take down Lu Ming. Even if Lu Ming was taken down today, or even killed in battle, his name would be recorded in the history of the ancient moon sacred ground. Facing the three martial emperors, Lu Ming's expression remained calm. However, there was a raging fire burning in his eyes. This was a strong killing intent. He retreated and controlled the Dian Grand Formation. Rays of light formed and bombarded the three emperor-level powerhouses. Don't let him retreat into the Pill Furnace Mountain. The martial emperor of the Wan clan shouted coldly. He controlled the martial emperor weapon and sent the halos flying towards Lu Ming. At the same time, the Fiend Arch of Sky Wolf Pagoda and the three-legged golden crow attacked from both sides. The terrifying attacks broke through the halos and rapidly approached Lu Ming. Chapter 1809. Just as everyone thought that Lu Ming would flee into the Cauldron Mountain to hide, Lu Ming suddenly stopped. Boundless light surged out from the surroundings, blocking the three emperor-level experts. At the same time, a scarlet light shot out from Lu Ming's glabella. It was a cauldron, the Great Pill Derivation Cauldron. The Great Pill Derivation Cauldron grew to a height of 10,000 feet and heavily smashed into the ground. Boom! The earth rumbled as Lu Ming descended from the sky and stood on top of the Great Pill Derivation Cauldron. It's the Great Pill Derivation Cauldron. The Wan clan's martial emperors, the Heavenly Wolf Pagoda's martial emperors, and the Golden Crow tribe's martial emperors all had blazing eyes as they stared at the Great Pill Derivation Cauldron. The Great Pill Derivation Cauldron, together with the great pill derivation scripture, could refine pills with the laws and seize the fortune of heaven and earth. Such a treasure was a fatal temptation to any faction. Hand over the great pill derivation cauldron. The Wan clan's martial emperors shouted as they charged at Lu Ming with their emperor-level weapons. The Heavenly Wolf Pagoda's martial emperors and the Golden Crow tribe's martial emperors were not slow at all. They unleashed terrifying attacks that blasted away several light halos as they charged at Lu Ming. The three emperor-level experts charged at Lu Ming at the same time. Lu Ming stood on top of the cauldron, his eyes flickering with madness. The Wan clan, Heavenly Wolf Pagoda, Golden Crow tribe, Purple Extreme sect, and Sky Bird Palace, these five factions had gone too far. From the beginning, Lu Ming and the five factions had only been fighting among the younger generation. Deaths and injuries were unavoidable in a fight among the younger generation. However, when the younger generation of these factions was no match for Lu Ming, they directly sent out the older generation. This time, it was even better. They directly sent out emperor-level experts to kill Lu Ming. Since that was the case, Lu Ming would go crazy. Otherwise, they would really treat him as a junior that could be casually crushed. Lu Ming stood still as the attacks of the three emperor-level experts rapidly approached him. Great Dan formation, smelt all things, refine for me. Lu Ming roared. At this moment, the great development cauldron let out a thunderous roar, as though it was resonating with the entire world. Resplendent light erupted in the area, and endless halos condensed from all directions, forming an incomparably huge cauldron that wanted to suppress the three sovereigns. Break! The three emperor-level powerhouses roared as their terrifying attacks bombarded the cauldron. Great pill derivation furnace, open! Lu Ming coldly shouted. The lid of the great development cauldron beneath his feet opened, revealing a pitch-black space. A terrifying attractive force erupted from the cauldron, as if it wanted to swallow everything in the world and refine it into a pill. The three emperor-level experts were sucked into the cauldron by the terrifying suction force. Not good. The three monarch-level masters' faces changed drastically. They unleashed their world energy and struggled madly, trying to break out of the encirclement. Great Dan formation, suppress. Lu Ming waved his hands, controlling the Great Dan formation in this area with all his might. At this moment, Lu Ming, the Great Development Cauldron, and the Great Development Cauldron seemed to have merged into one, erupting with astonishing energy. If the Great Development Cauldron was placed outside without the assistance of the Great Development Cauldron, Lu Ming's current cultivation would not be able to exert such a powerful force to affect the emperor-level powerhouses. However, with the help of the Great Development Cauldron, it was different. Its power was astonishing, and it seemed to have recovered, erupting with an astonishing suction force. In the sky, endless halos condensed, forming a huge cauldron with raging flames burning inside, suppressing the three emperor-level powerhouses. The three emperor-level powerhouses roared and resisted with all their might. However, their bodies still fell bit by bit, and were about to be sucked into the Great Development Cauldron. The spectators from afar were dumbfounded. Each of them widened their eyes and stood there in a daze. Shock could no longer be used to describe their feelings. What was Lu Ming trying to do? Was he trying to kill the sovereigns? Was he trying to put the three sovereigns into the cauldron and refine three emperor-level pills? This simply could not be described as audacious. His courage was even greater than the heavens. A junior, a great saint, actually wanted to kill the sovereigns. Regardless of whether he could succeed or not, such thoughts and actions were absolutely crazy. Martial emperors, even the weakest minor martial emperor realm, were still martial emperors. They had the power to destroy the heavens and earth, their lifespan was endless, and they could condense a small world. Such a person, no matter where they were, would be high and mighty, overlooking all living beings. When ordinary people faced emperor-level powerhouses, it was like a mortal facing a deity. They would not even dare to have any thoughts of blasphemy. However, Lu Ming wanted to kill the sovereigns. One could only imagine how shocked the surrounding people were. Most importantly, the three sovereigns were really falling toward the Great Development Cauldron. Lu Ming, I will crush your bones and scatter your ashes. The Wan clan's martial emperor roared crazily. He was really crazy. As a martial emperor, he could not take down Lu Ming personally. He needed help from others, but now, he was actually defeated by Xiaofan. In the future, his reputation as a martial emperor was destined to be ruined. He hated Lu Ming to the extreme. He hated Lu Ming for resisting. Why did he not obediently follow him to the Wan clan and obediently give up everything? He was just an ant, yet he dared to resist and humiliate him. Explode! The Wan clan's martial emperor's eyes flashed with pain. He roared and a sovereign weapon flew up. Then, it emitted a bright light and exploded. The Wan clan's martial emperor was forced to explode his sovereign weapon. The explosion of the sovereign weapon was shockingly powerful. The terrifying energy tore a hole in the cauldron formed by the Great Development Cauldron. The Wan clan's martial emperor used the other two sovereign weapons to protect himself and rushed out of the hole. Ga! The golden crow let out a long cry. The golden crow beast emperor flapped his wings and rushed out of the hole like a beam of golden light. Roar! The heavenly wolf pagoda's beast emperor also wanted to rush out. Stay here! Lu Ming shouted as he controlled the Great Development Cauldron. The cauldron quickly recovered and the hole shrunk. No! The heavenly wolf pagoda's beast emperor roared and smashed at the hole. Unfortunately, the hole had already disappeared. The huge cauldron released a terrifying flame that pressed down on the heavenly wolf pagoda's beast emperor. At this moment, the heavenly wolf pagoda's beast emperor was the only one left. It was even harder for him to resist. The huge cauldron pushed him toward the Great Development Cauldron. Roar! The heavenly wolf pagoda's beast emperor struggled frantically. He unleashed his world energy and his body expanded rapidly. However, it was useless. His body quickly fell into the cauldron. Finally, his huge body entered the cauldron. Clang! Lu Ming controlled the Great Development Cauldron's lid and covered the cauldron. Refine! Lu Ming shouted as he stood on the cauldron. His long hair fluttered. Boom! Fierce alchemy flames spewed out from the bottom of the cauldron. At the same time, the Great Development Cauldron turned into beams of light and surrounded the cauldron, suppressing it. Boom! 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 Chapter 18:10. If you want to kill me, you'll have to be prepared to be killed. Turn into ashes. Lu Ming roared, his eyes flashing with killing intent. He controlled the cauldron with all his might, intending to refine the heavenly wolf pagoda's demon emperor. Everyone at the scene sucked in a breath of cold air, including those emperor-level experts. Lu Ming was really going to refine an emperor-level powerhouse. If he succeeded, it would shock the entire ancient Moon Holy Land. A great sage slaughtering an emperor. Even with the help of the Grand Array, there were few such examples since ancient times. It would probably pierce through the heavens. Lu Ming, let go of the Heavenly Wolf Pagoda's demon emperor. Do you think the Heavenly Wolf Pagoda only has one demon emperor? The Holy Land's foundation is far beyond your imagination. If you really anger us, you'll die without a burial place. The Wan clan's martial emperor roared. He clenched his fists, his eyes burning with rage. He had actually lost an imperial armament in this battle. His heart was dripping with blood. That was an extremely rare emperor weapon. How many years had he spent cultivating it? He had only obtained 3 emperor weapons. He had paid a huge price and put in a lot of effort. Previously, he had no choice but to self-destruct one. He wished he could skin Lu Ming alive to vent his anger. Now, Lu Ming was going to refine the Heavenly Wolf Pagoda's Demon Emperor. Martial emperors are indeed superior to all living beings. At first, the 3 martial emperors wanted to kill me, but they were no match for me and were defeated by me. Now, they're using the power behind them to suppress me. How impressive, how impressive. I've learned something new. Lu Ming sneered, but everyone could hear the deep mockery in his voice. 3 martial emperors were dealing with a person of the younger generation. After being defeated, they actually brought out the faction behind them. This was truly shameless. The Wan clan's martial emperor's face was extremely gloomy. On the other hand, the rest of the members of the Wan family looked ashamed and resentful. They secretly hated Lu Ming. Lu Ming, how dare you humiliate my Wan clan? You'll regret it sooner or later. Wan Zhengyang gritted his teeth. The humiliation of the Wan clan's martial emperor was equivalent to the humiliation of the entire Wan clan. In the future, when they went out, they would definitely be looked down upon and criticized by others. Of course, they wouldn't think about whether or not they were the cause of all this. They would only blame everything on Lu Ming. Lu Ming, let go of the Shifter Emperor. Let him go. Otherwise, you won't be able to escape no matter where you go. The people of the Heavenly Wolf Pagoda all roared. Some of them turned into giant wolves and glared at Lu Ming. If you want to save your Shifter Emperor, come and save him yourself. Lu Ming said as he tried his best to refine the Skywolf Pagoda's Fei the Arch. However, how could the demons of Heavenly Wolf Pagoda dare to go? What a joke. Even the Shifter the Arch was trapped in the cauldron and couldn't even protect himself. If they went to save him, wouldn't they be courting death? A bunch of gutless rats. Lu Ming sneered. He glanced at the Wan clan's martial emperors and the Golden Crow demonic monarch and said coldly, if you want to kill me, you have to be prepared to be killed by me, no matter who you are. No matter who it was? Even if it was a martial emperor or a Fei the Arch, Shao Chen would still kill them. Arrogant. How arrogant. No matter how talented you are destined to not go far. Kill. The Wan clan's martial emperor shouted. He controlled an emperor weapon and threw it at Lu Ming from afar. However, he did not dare to get close at all. He only attacked Lu Ming from afar, trying to save the Heavenly Wolf Pagoda's Fei the Arch. At the same time, the Golden Crow demonic monarch also made his move. He flapped his wings, and suns suddenly appeared in the sky. The suns fell, smashing towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming manipulated the Great Amplification Elixir Array to form many light screens, blocking the surroundings. Right now, he did not attack. He just needed to block. He focused on refining the Heavenly Wolf Pagoda's Fei the Arch. Since they wanted to kill him, he had to make them pay a painful price. The Great Pill Formation blocked the attacks of the Wan clan's martial emperors and the Golden Crow demonic monarch. Roar! Roar! Roars came from the Great Pill Formation cauldron and the roars of the Heavenly Wolf Pagoda's Fei the Arch. The roars were filled with anger, unwillingness, and fear. Yes, everyone heard the roars of fear. Moreover, as time passed, the voice of the Heavenly Wolf Pagoda's Fei the Arch seemed to be getting weaker and weaker. Everyone looked at each other. Could it be that the high and mighty Fei the Arch was really going to be refined? Let go of him. The Wan clan's martial emperor roared and attacked even more fiercely. However, they were all blocked by the Great Pill Formation cauldron. As for the ZG Sect's martial emperor and the Sky Bird Palace's Fei the Arch, they were blocked by the Divine Elephant Sect's and Phoenix Palace's martial emperors. They could not help. What a joke. You want to kill me, but you still ask me to let go of him. Idiots. Lu Ming berated them directly. He did not care if they were martial emperors or not. He did not give them any face at all. Some of the youths felt their blood boil. He wanted to refine the Fei the Arch in front of so many experts. He scolded the martial emperors and took revenge. He could do whatever he wanted. How delightful and carefree was this! They yearned for it. Of course, if it were them, they would not dare to do it. The Wan clan's martial emperors felt as if there was a rock in their chest. Ever since he had broken through to the martial emperor realm, no one had dared to speak to him like that. The other party was just a young man, but he could not do anything to him. It was extremely frustrating. At that moment, the voice in the great pill furnace became softer and softer. The Sky Wolf Pagoda's experts felt their hearts sink. In the end, an unwilling voice came out of the great pill furnace. Then, it became completely silent. Huff! Huff! Everyone heaved a heavy sigh of relief as their hearts were filled with waves of shock. A Fei the Arch had fallen just like that? Killed by a junior? Lu Ming had killed a Fei the Arch. This matter was bound to cause a huge commotion in the ancient moon's sacred ground. The Wan clan's martial emperors and the Golden Crow Fei the Arch retreated with ugly expressions. There was a trace of horror in their eyes. Just now, if the two of them had not been fast enough and decisive enough to rush out, the consequences would have been unimaginable. If either of them had been trapped in the Great Pill Furnace, they would have ended up like the Sky Wolf Pagoda's martial emperor. In addition, the martial emperors of the Purple Pole sect, Sky Bird Palace, Phoenix Palace, and Divine Elephant sect also stopped fighting and looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not open the alchemy furnace immediately. To be on the safe side, he continued to control the fire in the alchemy furnace and continued to refine it for a while. When he could no longer sense any signs of life in the alchemy furnace, Lu Ming then opened the alchemy furnace. Clang! When the furnace was opened, everyone's heart skipped a beat. Was the Sky Wolf Pagoda's martial emperor really dead? The moment the furnace lid was opened, an extremely powerful energy rushed into the sky. It was the power of the laws and also the power of the world. However, it dissipated with the wind. The Sky Wolf Pagoda's martial emperor did not appear again. He had really been refined. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. What a pity! I did not comprehend the Great Pill scripture and my cultivation is not high enough. Otherwise, I could have refined an emperor pill. Lu Ming muttered softly. However, the people present were all experts. Although his voice was soft, they heard it clearly. This guy still wants to refine an emperor pill? You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.